Hold on to your mug. We're in for a wild night.
Welcome everybody to episode 77 of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I am your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is good to be here on another beautiful day here in Portland, Oregon, joined, of course, by two of my very favorite people. Welcome back from vacation, Hydra Sheep. How you doing tonight?
Thank you. I am doing great. I missed you guys. It felt like a really long time, been off the grid for a bit, and it's going to be great to talk some Hearthstone. Like it's been a while, so I am happy.
Right? Yeah, and of course, good to see you again, Electric Sheep City. How you doing tonight?
Meowdy, doing well myself. Glad to see our buddy Hydra back in the saddle. Ready to stone some hearths with that buddy.
Nice. And hey, we have a very special guest joining us tonight. Allow me a brief introduction. He is an active member of our Wild Hearthstone community. He is a streamer and a participant in our very own Born to be Wild Listener Series, coming to us all the way from Singapore. Welcome to the show, the Cyberon. How are you doing tonight?
Hi everyone. For me, it's 9:20 a.m. in the morning. So normally I wake up late on weekends. I wake up at like 12 because I sleep at 4 a.m. the previous day. So normally I wake up at 12. I go for lunch. Then after lunch, I'll go for I'll play some games. But today is different. Today I woke up early for the podcast, and I'm actually very happy for the podcast. I'm actually very, very hyped for it. So,
thank you. That's so great. We're so happy to have you on.
Yeah, we appreciate that very much for you to change your schedule for us.
For those of the people that are watching or listening to this podcast, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, as much or as little as you're willing to share, but kind of who are you? How did you start playing Hearthstone? How long have you been playing? That sort of thing.
For me, actually, I began playing Hearthstone about 4 years ago.
Okay.
So 4 years ago, actually, it was my first year of college, and I stayed in the school hostel with some friends. So like during the exam period, there was this kind of like an arrangement where we go to the lounge every day to study. And during our study breaks, we happen to do different things. So I saw some of my friends playing this card game that looked very cool on the phone. Then I was like, what game is that? It's very cool. And they told me it's Hearthstone. So actually, it was since then I went to check out Hearthstone on the App Store. I got Hearthstone on the phone, read through the tutorial, got some free cards. And yeah, this is how I began playing Hearthstone. Actually, I didn't get into WoW until about 2 years ago. I got into WoW because actually it was then where some of my favorite expansions like Frozen Throne, Combos and Catacombs got rotated out of standard. So actually I crafted a lot of cards back then, and I bought some of them using my money. So I was thinking, actually these are my favorite cards that I really want to play forever. Like I don't really want to stop playing them just because they are out of standard. So actually I was like thinking, okay, then if that's the case, because actually my idea of WoW was that WoW is really WoW, like what everyone says. Like you see stuff like Jackson, like healing for full at turn 6. And you see like patches and things like that. So I was like, okay, to me WoW seems like this place that is super damn broken. Like you're going to end your games in like turn 5, turn 6. And yeah, everything there is super broken. Then I was like, okay, because for me I'm a control player. I play a lot of control decks. I mean there are times that I also play aggro and combo. But control is my favorite kind of playstyle. So I was like, okay, WoW is not going to be my place. But after that, because the rotation happened, I was like, I might as well give it a try. And pretty much, I went there for good, and I have no regrets. This is one of the best moves I made in Hearthstone. And yeah, actually for now, I don't really hit Legend. I'm not a very, very competitive gamer. I mean, I used to be competitive. There was this period of time last year, it was because COVID was so bad in Singapore, that our country got locked down for about 2.5 months. So I was pretty much home every day. And at that point of time, I happened to just graduate from my college, and I couldn't find a job. So every day for me was just waking up at 12 p.m. and applying for some jobs, and then playing games all day. So I actually hit Legend for the first time during the lockdown.
And nice.
And I never got that ever again because it was so stressful for me. Like I remember there was once I was Diamond 1 3 stars, and I was like, okay, this is the final boss that I'm going to fight. This game is going to decide whether I hit Legend or not. So it happened that as everyone else's experience, the first final boss is always a loss. So I fell all the way back to Diamond 1 0 stars, and I was like,
Ooh.
oh, if I'm going to lose again, I'm going to rage so badly. Yeah, and the thing is, I was playing Reno Priest, I think, and then I hit the button to queue for a game, and I faced against a quest mage. So I was like, it's over, it's over. I'm getting back down to Diamond 5. I was like, oh shit. And it happened that the guy actually considered before the game began. So I was Diamond 1 star, and I managed to get a win streak all the way to Legend.
Nice.
I was happy about that.
Let's go.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. My
but ever
palms
since
got
that,
sweaty hearing the story. Like, it
Right?
stresses me out. Like, oh.
Yeah,
I
I know, right?
know.
So actually, for me, that was the one that only time I hit Legend, and pretty much ever since then, I managed to maintain a 10-star bonus because of my MMR. So actually, for now, I currently at a 9-star bonus. I don't really play for high ranks. I normally stop at Diamond 10. So yep, just a very casual gamer. Normally, I don't really play rank. I play casual, but casual queue times are really very horrendous. You wait for 3 minutes for a game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned that your favorite style was control. What's your favorite control deck?
For now, it's probably Reno decks like RPG Mage, Reno Lock. But too bad they are not really favored now in the meta because you die in like 5 turns, 6 turns, which is very sad.
Yeah, unfortunately, the meta is not very friendly at the moment to Reno decks, and hopefully one day we can get back there. I'm anticipating nerfs pretty soon, but I guess we'll see.
Trademark.
Right? Yeah, I remember the days when Reno Priest was tier 1, and it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while, unfortunately.
The multiple years.
Yeah.
I actually lost to a Reno secret mage last night. I didn't see Reno coming down. And I was like, what?
We're gonna be rich.
Playing Reno right? I'm like, you got me. Thanks.
Ouch. Yeah. Oh well. And you had mentioned also that you'd said one of your favorite sets was Frozen Throne. Was there a Death Knight in particular that you really liked? I mean, I'm guessing maybe Anduin because you like Reno Priest, but I'm curious.
Or perhaps Jaina would be my guess.
Sure, sure.
I'm gonna go with no. Wait, you didn't say Reno Lock, did you? I was gonna say
did.
Gul'dan.
Yeah, I did say Reno Lock and Reno
Okay.
Mage. Actually, my favorite back then was Deathstalker Rexa because it's a hunter.
So
You don't really have like infinite value kind of stuff. So every turn you spend 2 mana to build a beast, and the beast can be like lifesteal, rush, deal damage to opponents, to minions and minions that are next to it. So it's like there are many different kind of effects. Then because normally you at that point of time I think the meta was Death Rattle Hunter. Like the one that has the eggs and then it has like Katrina and King Crush and Devil Souls.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
think
love
back then it
that
was the
deck.
is
Yeah.
standard. Me too, yeah, Big Hunter or whatever it's called, Death Rattle Hunter, I think. So that Rexa was pretty much, actually it's not only for the deck, like pretty much Rexa was in every deck, like in every Hunter deck that existed back then. So it was the first,
It was even run as a backup, like in like aggressive decks.
yeah.
Because you could immediately
yeah.
pivot into a mid-ranger control
know, right?
style, like at a moment's notice. It was incredible.
I remember there was this deck, I think there was Beast Hunter, which used Master's Call for Master's Khan Rumble, which basically draws 3 for 3 mana, and that card basically kind of like revived Beast Hunter. And we saw the Circle Rexa there also, I mean no surprise. And for me actually fun fact, because back then I was still free to play, so I had to really dust every single common card that I don't play, and all the cards that are in gold, so I get more dust, and basically I was very careful with what I would spend my dust on. And the fun fact was that Stalker Rexa was the first legendary card that I crafted in my whole life in Hearthstone.
Nice.
Nice.
Actually earlier Nate mentioned that Jaina was my second favorite because back then I think that is kind of dead now, but Control Mage, which is like Big Spell Mage, is, I mean it used to be a thing in standard, but in WoW I guess it never really took off because it was too slow. Like by the time it was turn 5, you play Dragon's Fury and you draw like Meteor or Flame Strike and you kill the opponent's board for like 6 damage each. At that point of time you're pretty much dead already, because WoW is so fast, everything is going so quickly. In the first few turns, what can you do? Play a Doomsayer, play Ice Block. That's about it. Yeah,
Right.
but my favorite, actually, I don't really have at that point of time and until now, the most impressionable Death Knight was Rexa. Right now, I don't really have a favorite. I have all of them because I want to collect all 9 of them. My favorite right now is actually Undrain. Actually, for me, I didn't really play much Priest back then because at the point of time it was 2018, I think. Raza and Patches were already in WoW, so Raza Priest wasn't a thing. It was just exclusively for WoW, and at the point of time I was still playing Standard, but exclusively. I didn't venture into WoW yet, so I think Shadow Reaper and they become my favorite only after Raza Priest got unnerfed. Raza got Unchained. So it became
Once I
a
got
tier 1 deck.
Unchained.
Yeah, it became a tier 1 deck in WoW. It was the best deck in WoW for a period of time before Dark Glare came into the picture, and it kind of like screwed everything over for like 12 months.
That's I mean pretty much what happened, right?
Yeah.
It's so annoying, man.
I will say that's one of the reasons that I've really enjoyed playing this new Questline Hunter is because it reminds me of this kind of old school Reno Raza Priest where you're doing these machine gun turns and it's so fun. What let me ask you a question also as well. You had mentioned that you're more of a casual gamer, and I noticed that like you're really active in our community. You're really active in the Listener Series. Can you tell us anything about your approach to deck building, or any insights that you have, or what is your approach when you're coming up with decks to test out?
As for me, actually, I don't really communicate with other players. Like, in the Discord, there's this channel that discusses about decks that are good in the particular week. Like, for example, for week 2, I think one of the decks that was popular was Crescent Warlord and Crescent Warrior. I think it was the strongest 2 decks in the tournament for that week. For me, actually, I didn't really communicate with anybody because I didn't want to get ideas off anybody else. I wanted to just try and be creative. But normally when I become creative, I normally fail. So normally what I do is I end up taking a meta deck. I take out a few cards and add in some other cards to substitute those cards that I took out, so as to meet the requirements for the tournament. My approach to deck building is okay. There was this once that I actually talked to Shia about it. Shia Wasena. So Shia was telling me, because he was the winner for the first season. Actually, I asked him for advice before, and he told me, oh, normally for that week, what he does is he will see what cards are available, what is not available, and he will think of what opponents will build. So what he does is the opposite of what I do. Normally what I do is I build what I think fit. But for him, he will build whatever that counters what opponents build. So it's kind of like thinking one step ahead and thinking of how to defeat us even before we even think about the game. So
Yeah.
I kind of thought about that approach for a while, but maybe I'm not that good at being creative. So I still go back to taking some meta decks and I change cards here and there. Yeah. And even for the actual game, I mean outside of the tournament, normally I net deck. I'm ashamed to say this, but normally I net deck.
Hey, we're all guilty of net decking, man.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Hey, one other question I had. I know that you play some other games too. Particularly, I like Overwatch and some Switch games. What other type of games do you play?
Other than Hearthstone, yeah, Overwatch, like you said. I also play some rhythm games like Osu. You know the game where you click circles in tune with the rhythm. Okay, there's a computer game that is free to play, and for computer normally I play Overwatch, Hearthstone, GTA. GTA not that much nowadays because the community there is like there are quite a few hackers there. So you go onto the street, you get killed at random, and you don't even know why you died, and then you spawn back at a random area and then die again. So the experience wasn't very good. I've not played the game for a couple of months.
Oh, that's too
And
bad.
as for Switch, I play many games like Mario Kart, Smash Bros. A lot of games. There are too many to list.
The Switch has been really fun, and I love the portability of it all as well. In terms of other Blizzard-based games, have you tried Diablo at all? Out of curiosity.
There was once I tried Diablo 3 with my friends during the lockdown. For me, it's not that enjoyable as Hearthstone and Overwatch. I think it's a game that you wouldn't really enjoy if you play alone. It's better if you play with friends because you talk to your friends and it's like the community and the company that you spend your time with. I mean, I do see its appeal, but maybe I didn't really appreciate the game style. But I
Yeah.
guess it's just for me.
You know what though?
I haven't played Diablo at all, so I'm kind of with you there. It's not that it didn't resonate with me. I just haven't played it.
You make a really good point though, and that's sort of how I feel about Hearthstone lately. Is I almost don't want to play unless I can play with friends and chat and kind of. And it's not that I feel like I need help co-oping, but it's the community aspect of it that. I mean, yeah, I do. Like, I'll do what you do, Sheep. Like, I'll play Battlegrounds in the bathtub on the iPad, or before I go to bed. You know, I'm like lay there and play on the iPad or on the phone or something. But with Hearthstone in general, like, it's so much more fun for me, anyways, with friends. So I like that, and it goes with a lot of other games as well, Diablo in particular, and that's why. When the beta first came out for this updated Diablo 2, like Hydra and I played together, and that was really fun. And if I just did it by myself, like, yeah, it's okay. It's a cool game, but like not the same where, you know, we're like, hey, go over here. Oh, kill that thing. Oh, you got blown up by that, that trap. And it's just, it was pretty fun.
It's so much better. It's just so much better with a friend. It really is. I've played like Diablo 2 by myself many, many times, and I'll level up to a certain point and I'm like, I'm done. But if like I had a friend with me, then I would have obviously, kept on going. But I was gonna ask you, Cyberon, was this because you said that what first intrigued you about the game was when you saw your friend playing it on the phone? What was it that captured you? Was it because they were playing a card game? Was like that something that interests you, or was it just the visuals in general? Had you played a card game before, or like what was it when you first saw it that grabbed you?
For me, I think it was the fact that because I was always a person who was interested in card games, but the only card game I ever played in my life was Pokemon cards. Like for me, actually, I didn't even play Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Duel Masters. I only played Pokemon cards, and it wasn't even a very like I wasn't really very into it. But that's because I wasn't really into. I didn't really have the collection. I normally what I did back then was as a child. Normally, I went to like Metro to buy decks that are already pre-made. So actually, other than those decks, my collection was almost zero. So I mean, in Singapore, there was these markets here and there that sells card packs for like super cheap. But everything there is like random. I mean, it's supposed to be random. It's expected. But normally, when it's random for me, I get bad stuff that is unplayable. So I could end up getting a card that. So I could end up getting like Charizard, but I don't even have Charmander. So the Charizard becomes unplayable.
Yeah, that's
so, yeah,
rough.
actually, a part of me always wanted to get into card gaming, be it online or be it a physical card game. But I couldn't really find a card game, or rather, I was lazy to find actually. I got into other games as well and other things in my life. So I saw that two friends actually. There were two friends that were playing with each other, and both of them were in my study group. So they were both playing Hearthstone, and it's not only about the fact that it was a card game. It looked the interface looked very simple. It looked very easy to learn how to play the game. But I guess being good at the game and mastering it is a whole different matter.
That's true.
At least trying to understand the game and trying to see how things work out. Like you put cards onto the board, minions from the hand to the board, and then your minions will be sleeping for a turn. And then next turn you attack with the minions. And you also have spells like Fireball, which you can play from your hand straight away. So to me, they look very simple. Like it didn't really require you to think that much. Because like actually earlier we talked about them though. It's a game that is easy to learn also, but there are so many things to it. Like going to the shop, looking at your weapon stats, your dexterity, your intelligence, all that kind of stuff, and then the money. Like how much money do you need to enchant your weapon to increase the attack and all that kind of stuff. There are so many things to learn. Hearthstone is not a super detail-oriented game. Okay, I mean it's detail-oriented at a high level. If you are playing at like high legend, you have to really know the meta. But for most of us, we are not really at that level. So we just take it casual. We just know how to play the game. It's super easy to learn. It's super intuitive. At least for me lah, compared to like most of the games that I played. So I guess it's one of the reasons why I wanted to try Hearthstone. And partially because I was also sick of studying for exams and I wanted a break. So I was like, okay, now I got 1 hour break before my next study session. Why not I find something to do? So I went to the App Store because I'm using iPhone. So I went to the App Store, I got Hearthstone. I played through the tutorial. It was super easy until the final boss of the tutorial. I think it was Illidan. Yeah, his hero power summon.
It is Illidan,
his hero
yeah.
power summon 2 once. Yeah, I think it was
You
summoned
were
2
not
once or something.
prepared.
Yeah, and the two ones were scary because I mean there were two attack. Yeah, at the point of time it's super scary, but now if you look at WoW, what is two attack? You see like 8/8s coming down on turn 3. I mean Flash Giant. So yeah.
That's great.
I love the comment there when you face Illidan too. That it says something to the effect of like, "This fight is not fair. Blame the devs" or something like that.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so funny.
They set the expectations from the tutorial.
Well, hey, one final question for you. We asked this of all of our guests, and the question is, how did you come up with your username? What is the Cyberon? Is there a story behind it, or?
Alright, so when I got into middle school, I think it was first year or second year of middle school. Actually, I got into this game called Wolf Team. I don't know whether you guys have heard of that. It's a FPS game. Yeah, Wolf Team. It's something like Counter Strike, like Valorant, but it was there super long ago. I think by now it's pretty much a dead game already because nobody plays it anymore. So I was playing Wolf Team and I couldn't come up with a name for myself. So I was like thinking, okay, maybe I call myself something to do with cyber, but I don't want to call myself just cyber or like cyber gamer or cyber player because that sounds very weird. So I'll ask my friend that was in my class because this guy was somebody who was quite into gaming. So I asked him for advice, and the guy also happens to be a person who is very creative. So I was like, can you help me to think of a name that has a cyber in it that sounds cool, that doesn't sound like a nerd? So he was like, how about Cyberon?
I
And
love
He
it.
basically called me Cyberon. So basically, this person, he's a bit on the cranky side, but he's a nice guy. He called me Cyberon even in school. Like he stopped calling me by my real name. He called me like Cyberon. He refers to me as Cyberon even when we are in class, like doing a project together in school. So I was like, okay, Cyberon, but I'm not going to call myself Cyberon 95 or like Cyberon like that because Cyberon by itself, you know, feels incomplete. So I was thinking here and there, okay, so what do I call myself? I was like, okay, I got it, the Cyberon. So it's pretty much how I got the name, the Cyberon. I've been using it in all my games.
You are the Cyberon, not just a Cyberon. The
Yes, he is the
Cyberon.
one. Yeah.
I love it. I
Yes,
love it.
the only one.
That's awesome.
That's great.
All right, well, let's move into our weekly recap and see how everybody's been doing, what we've been up to, how our week was, like whether it's been about Hearthstone, life, whatever it is. Nate, let's start with you. What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's been a busy week. I mean, I feel like we always say this, right? I was talking to Sheep yesterday and I said, yeah, it's been what is it? A really busy month this week. And like, that's just how it's felt. It's been, Monday was a holiday for us, and for work, for me at least, is like, it's not like, oh cool, it's a 4-day work week. It's like, oh great, now we've got 5 days worth of work to cram into 4 days, and so things get really busy. But overall, it's been good. And so I copied Sheep. I went to go see Shang-Chi, and it was really good. It was amazing.
So good.
I won't spoil it, but I went by myself to like a 10 p.m. showing, because I was trying to think, like, the COVID stuff has been awful, and I haven't wanted to, catch it. And I was like, well, I want to go see this, but I haven't gone to a movie theater in 2 years. And so it's like, well, if I go really late at night, maybe it'll be empty. And it was pretty empty. It was opening weekend, and there was people, but it wasn't bad. And I got the popcorn. I thought of you, Sheep. I got the big tub of popcorn, which I normally don't do, but I had a lot of fun with it, and it's a great movie. I highly recommend it. Really good. I will not spoil it for anybody, but it was really, really good. It's kind of combination of like funny and serious and action and all the stuff. There's 2 different after the credit scenes, kind of like most Marvel movies. And so, there's the one like as the credits are rolling, but then if you stay to the very, very, very end, like there's another one. And so, totally recommend it. That was a lot of fun.
The choreography is incredible.
Oh
too.
yeah. And I think that he did all of his own stunts. Like I've been seeing kind of behind the scenes stuff on Twitter all week. That looked great. And as it turns out, and I don't know, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but
Simu Liu.
Right. As it turns out, he has all of these royalty-free like stock images that he modeled for, and they've been showing up like online all week, and they're so funny. They're just the business ones, but they're great. And
He's even gotten in on the memeing there. It's really funny.
Oh, it's been yeah, it's been great. So, anyways, I that was a lot of fun. I've seen all of the Marvel. Like, I'm not a big theater person, but I've seen all of the Marvel movies in the theater, with the exception of Black Widow. I missed that one. So I was happy to see this. It was great. Let's see what else. I've been waiting to kind of hardcore ladder. Like, it's been such a busy week for me. I've been doing my daily quests, and I've been playing some Battlegrounds and doing some solo content and stuff. I'll spend some time this weekend trying to ladder. I think my MMR tanked a little bit because I really tried hard to force Pirate Warrior at the beginning of the month, and like my win rate with it was so bad. Like, it did great last month, but this month, like, it just was not working for me. I had like a 45% win rate with it, and then I switched over to Odd Hunter and did great. But I see my rank sliding faster than it slid last month. And so I'm going to jump in probably with Blue Train and do some co-op over the weekend and try to eke back into top 100 if I can. I'll report back next week. Last night we got together and I got the Elune card back. So that was cool. It took a long time. I tried it on my own, but I was doing it on stream, and oh, hey, Blue Train, hey, yeah, here we go. Yeah, I was doing it on stream, and as I'm sitting here trying to read chat and talking to people, and work from the website. Like, I did one from Out of Cards, and I did a separate one from Hearthstone Top Decks or something, and I kept screwing it up. And I don't know if it was I was distracted or I missed a step or whatever. And Blue Train, bless his heart, jumped on the line and he was like, "Hey, I got an idea. Why don't I'll read you the steps and then you say check once you've done them, and then you can jam through it." I was like, it worked so well, and so I really appreciate that. He's like Grumpy Beetlejuice, say his name and he shall appear. That's great. But anyways, I got it. What I will say is. There's only 2 steps this time. The last one had 4 steps. This one only had 2. The first part was ridiculous. Like, it took an hour or something. I don't know. Like, it took a long time, and I don't know. I messed it up a couple of times before we got it. The second part was quick, but the spreadsheet that you use, like, and again, thank God for Blue Train. Like, the instructions were not very clear, and so once you figure out how to do it, was like, oh, okay, it's not bad, but trying to figure out how to plug all the numbers in and stuff. And what's incredible to me is the people who sat down and figured this out to begin with. Like, I started seeing the first phase of it is like a maze. And I could start seeing it after a while, because you see, like, you're progressing, and then you're turning around, and then you're turning left, you're turning right. Oh, dead end, turn around. And when you see it actually drawn out as a map, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And that, like, my brain can understand. The second piece, where it's all equation and numbers and everything, is just mind-blowing. I don't even know how people figured out.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a shame because they were actually making pretty good progress on figuring it out, but then like some data mining stuff kind of got through, and so it kind of sprinted to the finish. But they were making good progress, and I don't know that I would be able to figure any of that out, even with like the large sample size of data that they were working with. We definitely stand upon their shoulders, but this go around for part 2 in particular, it was kind of found out with the data mining, which is kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, we got there.
Yeah. Anyways, that was a lot of fun. I'm happy that it's done, though. And so, yeah, there's that. I've been trying to balance my gaming with non-Hearthstone stuff as well. And so I've been jamming through I love these like kind of point and click adventure game type things. And so I started playing a new one. It is called Draugen. Is that, I guess, how you pronounce it? It's basically, It's this adventure game. It takes place kind of in European mountains, and the basic premise of the story is the main character's from America, from Boston. His sister is out there in Europe somewhere, and she goes missing, and he's out there trying to find her. And you show up in this town in the middle of nowhere, and it's beautiful, but everyone's missing, and you're trying to kind of figure out what happened. It's really, I mean, I'm only a few hours into it, but it's really interesting so far. And it's fun. So yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what's going on with that. Hopefully over the weekend, like I've got a bunch of Hearthstone videos that I've been avoiding editing, and hopefully I will get to those this weekend. That are some kind of deck spotlights, and so that should be fun once I get to them. Aside from that, in other media, I realized that we had included in our cell phone plan 6 months of Apple TV Plus, and so I started watching some of that. There's I'm a big giant Stephen King fan, and
You?
oh, you don't say. And normally, at least historically, every time they've taken one of his books and turned it into a movie or a TV show, for the most part, like it gets ruined like pretty bad. And it's been better lately. But anyways, there's a new TV show on Apple TV Plus. It's based on his book Lizzie's Story. And it's really good so far. And I was really curious how they were going to do it, because the book is like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a total mess, like a fever dream. And it works, but it's really like, how do you translate this? And they're doing a really good job. Clive Owen is one of the main characters, and then the person who plays Lisi is Julianne Moore, and she's kind of the star of the show, and she does really, really good acting, especially for what amounts to a pretty convoluted story.
Nice.
And so yeah, I mean that's been cool. The only really other thing I've been up to is I started listening to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo on audiobook. I love the series. I've done the first trilogy. If you guys aren't familiar, they're written by a Swedish author named Stieg Larsson, and they're fantastic. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. It's like a master class in storytelling. Just phenomenal storytelling. And the guy that wrote them, he wrote the first book. The first book was published, and then he died like really suddenly. And books 2 and 3 came out posthumously, but they were done already. Like the manuscripts were completely finished for books 2 and 3. And then what was really interesting is, based on this guy's notes and stuff, there was a different author that put together another book. And so there was a fourth one. I was like, oh, cool. And I had listened to that one, I don't know, a couple of years back, and I'm like, oh, it's not the same, but it's good. And what I just found out over the past week is that there's 2 more. So there's a total of 6, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm all in. And it's not the same author, but it's the same characters, and it was close. And so I was like, all right, I'm here for it, but I want to start these over. Now, the really interesting thing, and I see Aramorn saying it in chat, and you're right. So this is the crazy thing, right? This guy's from, I believe he's Swedish, but here's the crazy thing, and I'm just going to read this because it's really interesting if you want to go down the conspiracy theory path. So there's 2 main characters in this book. Like, one is kind of a computer hacker, and the other is a investigative journalist, and known for kind of exposing these like financial institutions or whatever. So I'm just going to read this real quick blurb. Larsson's most famous for his best-selling Millennium series of thrillers that explore the dark underbelly of Swedish society and politics. A journalist for much of his life, he died suddenly in 2004, just months after selling his first book, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He left behind completed manuscripts for the first 2 sequels, which have together sold 80 million copies around the world. In 2014, it was revealed that right up to his death, Larsson had been researching the unsolved assassination of Palme, who is the Prime Minister of Sweden, leaving behind 20 boxes of research in his private archive. A populist left-wing left-wing politician. Palme was shot in 1986 after leaving Stockholm cinema with his wife. The assassin's identity was never uncovered, but the case made international headlines again in 2014 when it was revealed that Larson, by then a posthumous bestseller, had once identified a potential suspect to the police, although the case was not pursued. And so there's all these conspiracy theories about it, right? Where the guy's an investigative journalist and then he dies of like mysterious circumstances. I think technically they say he died of a heart attack, but it's like when you read the books and then you read that, you're like, it's pretty crazy. So anyways, I love this book series. I'm if you're at all interested in mystery, intrigue, a little bit of politics, like the story's so good. Anyways, I've talked for way too long, but the tail end of my week has been filled with things that I have really enjoyed. So
it's a good thing. That's great.
Yes. So anyways, that's me. I've been having a lot of fun. So what about you, Sheep? What have you been up to?
Yeah, it was another busy week here. Whenever Nate and I were talking yesterday, Nate dropped the nugget. It's been a really long month this week, and he mentioned that earlier, and I've used that a number of times in conversations today. So
It's how it's felt.
it really has too. So thank you for that. So busy week here. On Sunday, I had my Wild THL match against Tom Carter. So Tom is a fantastic player. Recently, I think August 21st, they were rank 1.
Wow.
Like Wild rank 1, not Diamond 1. And ended up pulling out the win 3-0.
Wow.
That felt incredible because Tom
rad.
Carter's
Wow.
an incredible player. And to pull a sweep out just felt like so relieving, not going to lie.
Congrats.
Thank you. While preparing for that THL match, I was jamming some odd quest line hunter and ended up hitting legend. That was the 4th because that was Sunday.
Let's go. That's great, man. I like it. So you use that same odd questline hunter?
Yeah, I used that same one, and the only card that I was missing in gold was Auction Master Beardo.
Oh boy.
Missing it in gold no longer.
Yeah, I was caught up on my podcast and was re-listening to our episode a couple episodes ago, and I was protesting, saying that I would never craft Auction Master Beardo in gold. Like what, just 2 short weeks ago. And I crafted Auction Master Beardo in gold on Nate's birthday. So
Hey. Love it. That's coincidentally, I think that's probably when I crafted it too.
So that was a blast. On Monday and Tuesday, did stuff with a deck list for our listener series. I had a blast there. Hung out with the wife like you do. I had a work event on Wednesday, so unfortunately did not sail the 7 seas this go around in Sea of Thieves, but we'll be back again before too long. Because I pretty much passed out at the end of the night on Wednesday. Thursday, Nate and I had our listener series match. And that was a blast too.
I'm happy that I didn't get swept. That's what I will say. Good games.
Yeah, they were some very good games. It was a lot of fun.
It was good. Yeah.
My mech paladin actually took a game loss. I was really impressed. Not gonna lie.
I built like a Reno Shutterwalk shaman type thing, but I tried to put in some devolves and stuff to I figured there was gonna be some death rattle stuff and some mech stuff probably, and it was like, well, how else do you deal with it? And it got me 1 game, but that's hey, that's cool. I'll take what I could get.
Yeah.
Well, and whenever we were listening to Cyberon talk about all of the decks that he really liked, one of the decks that I brought was LPG Mage, Reno Mage, and Nate banned that one, so I didn't even get a chance to play it.
I tested I did some test play games against it, and I kept losing, and I was like, nah, I don't want to lose against it again.
So it was a lot of fun. That game or that match really, and then hanging out with Nate afterwards was a lot of fun.
It was good, yeah.
Then today I ended up playing my other Wild THL match. Because the other one was last week's. Got this week's out and done with on Friday. So that was at 6:30 Sheep time, so 4:30 Nate and Hydra time, and ended up taking the L 2-3.
Oh, so close.
The final game was Celestial Druid versus my Odd Questline Hunter, and yeah,
Couldn't get there.
no, Jailstorm had Celestial Alignment on their turn or on their 7 mana turn, which was like turn 3 or 4. I think it was turn 3. I really do think it was turn 3.
Wow.
And I was just about to have stabilized. I dealt with like an Alexstrasza and a Malagos, like OG Malagos. And right as it, I again had 5 mana. It was Solar Eclipse into not branching paths, the one that pulls things from your deck, Oaken Summons.
Oh, yeah.
And pulled out other Alexstrasza and other Malagos, and it was lethal on board. So just as soon as I was going to see if I could actually stabilize, they got me. So well played, Jailstorm. It was a pretty intense match, if you can't tell. And that was like right before we started here. So it's been an action-packed week here in the city of Electric Sheep. How have things been in your neck of the woods, the Cyberon?
For me, this week was actually pretty busy. As in, it was busy in the sense that work was, because there wasn't a public holiday or anything like that. So I had a 5-day work week. And we all know I hate 5-day work weeks. They are very dreadful.
Yeah.
And because I was looking forward to the podcast, so the days just felt a lot slower and a lot worse. And I also made a huge mistake at work on Thursday. So that mistake kind of like blew me off. It threw me off guard. So I had to do some crisis recovery then. It wasn't the best experience. It was quite bad, and I was feeling quite horrible about myself going into yesterday morning, which is Friday morning. I was in my lowest motivation. I thought of the podcast, I thought of Hearthstone, and I actually spent my time yesterday playing Hearthstone doing work for about an hour or so, and I felt better after that. Other than that, actually, what I'm up to, I just created the Twitter account, as you can see, during this month. Because actually I was talking to my friends about this. Like I was considering getting into streaming, not as a career, but as a kind of like
A hobby.
hobby kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like telling me, hey, why not go and make a Twitter account and all that? So I was just like thinking about it. I was lazy to do it until like I think it was Thursday or was it Wednesday? I can't remember very clearly. I think it was Thursday. I created the Twitter account and I finally got it up.
Nice. Yeah, I saw you were on there now. That's great.
Yeah, other than that, life for me, life is pretty much, because now I'm a working adult. I'm working from home. So the good thing is I can afford to sleep at 2 a.m., wake up at 9 a.m. And then after waking up, I go
Nice.
to my desk, go onto my computer, check some emails. And if there are not many emails, I can chill for a short while more. So working from home has its benefits, I guess. For me, I wouldn't really mind going to office once in a while. For my job, I have to go to the office once in a while to use the system, to interact with some other parties from the outside. But I don't really go back office that often. I go back to office on average once a week, or maybe sometimes once every 2 weeks. But mostly it's working from home. So my life is pretty much either going out with my girlfriend, going for exercise, playing games, and out to eat. It's a very simple life. Like there's not much variety. But for me, I'm a person that I kind of enjoy the fact that there is a sense of like predictability in my life, which is that I know what I'm going to do. Like for example, I told some of my friends actually my schedule is very, very predictable. If you want to ask me out for a meal, you more or less know which days I'm free. I'm free on Saturdays, but I'm not free on Sundays because on Sundays I'm normally with my girlfriend. So yeah, normally I do normally is pretty much the same few things. I mean, for games, I play different games. Like for example, for Mondays, I normally stream Overwatch. As of now, I stream without microphone, without webcam. I'm looking into streaming with a microphone soon, with commentary. If not,
Oh, fun.
you're all going to see. Yeah, if not, because for now you guys are just seeing gameplay. You're not hearing my commentary. But if you hear my commentary, you hear me like shouting and like, wow, this team sucks. Yeah, all that kind of thing. Sometimes Hearthstone is more of like, if you lose, it's because of bad luck, or it's because or like you have bad RNG, you got bad matchup. Like for example, Mosaki Mage versus President Warlock. Mosaki Mage is dead for now, I guess. So there's a different story to say. One other thing about Hearthstone is that compared to other games, okay, like Overwatch, you have a team of 6, including yourself. So you might be doing well, but if your teammates goof, at the end of the day you still lose. So there's a lot of people who blame the teammates.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I get blamed. It'd be like bad healer, healer diff. So I get this kind of comment sometimes. And there was this once, I'll share a funny story with you guys. There was this once, I don't know if you guys play Overwatch or you heard of the characters. So there's this character called Mercy. She's a healer in Overwatch. And she's a character that doesn't really require you to be very good at aiming with the mouse. You just need to look at the person in front of you, hold left click to heal, hold right click for damage boost. And sometimes you fly around the battlefield and you go to our teammates, because it's how you get to heal them. So this character is kind of like, there's this stereotype that girls play this character, like many girls main this character because they can't shoot. I mean, personally, I don't really agree with the stereotype. I think this stereotype has to go, because as a guy, actually I find this character fun to play. It's a bit weird, more weird thing compared to playing something like Genji, like Hanzo, or like Reinhardt. So there was this once that, actually not this once, actually there was a few times in fact, but there was this once in particular where people was asking for me to be their girlfriend. And because they assumed my gender, they thought I was a girl. And they was like, please be my girlfriend. So I kind of put a joke, as in, okay, on hindsight it wasn't really a joke, but I kind of lied about who I am. I was like, actually I'm lesbian. I mean I'm not lah. So actually what happened, I mean, respect to all those that are out there, lesbian, homosexuals, I'm good with them. I support them. But that being said, I was just making a joke so that he would be thrown off, and hopefully he will not say anything much. But he was like, you know what? I will actually become a girl for you. I was like, whoa, that escalated really quickly, man.
That escalated quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, so Overwatch, in Hearthstone, speaking on that, actually for Overwatch, you communicate more often with the people around you, like, because there's a team chat, and you also got a match chat, which is to people that are not only your team but also to opponents. So it's very easy to talk to people and like saying, hey, you suck, or like you are a very good healer, thanks for the game. But in Hearthstone, actually I want to tell most of you guys, including my friends who are watching now in real life who do not play Hearthstone, I think you guys might know Hearthstone is a kind of like a single player game in a sense. I mean, if you exclude Battlegrounds, it's a single player game in a sense. So you don't really have much interaction with people that you play with. But there are times where I add people because I want to find out like, what is your deck list? Your deck looks fun. There was this one that I saw this guy playing a Reno Elise Clown Druid. He had like Reno, he had like Carnival Clown, he had like Yasaraj. Yeah. And he had like, and he basically played like Geppetto on turn 6 with a Lightning Bloom. He drew Carnival Clown for 1 mana. He drew Yasaraj for 1 mana. So basically he played a fully corrupted Carnival Clown. I mean, unfortunately they are 1/1s, but afterwards next turn he plays Yasaraj and they all come back. I was like, whoa.
Wow.
I can't deal with the board.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know whether you guys know of him, but he's called Magic Man, the guy who played RPG Mage.
I've not heard of him, but that sounds great. I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I really want to give a shout out to Magic Man. I think you guys have heard of him sometimes. He's playing at High Legend, 11-star bonus, RPG Mage player. He is the guy that motivated me to play RPG Mage, just like many of us here. He because he's a person who is very into RPG Mage, every expansion he takes his spec deck to Legend. He says that it's a masochistic move to make because RPG Mage is not a tier 1 deck. It's not even tier 2 maybe. But he plays that same deck to Legend every month and he always makes changes based on the expansion meta. So as and when he aims cards that are not really commonly seen like Mana Saber.
That's cool.
And I think he always changes his deck list. So he's a very cool guy. He's a nice guy. I talked to him once before. Or maybe not once, maybe like twice or thrice. Nice guy. Yeah. Yeah, as Scoopy says on chat, actually, he plays RPG match mostly, but he doesn't really play RPG match exclusively. He will also change decks here and there. So he was that guy who I met on casual playing that Reno, Elise, Foundry. And I didn't mention earlier, he actually played Elise to copy the counts and the Yasaraj. Yep. So actually, it's not only one count, it's two counts. And Yasaraj, actually, it's 4 counts. Yeah,
Counting
so
around.
Yeah.
yeah, so sorry, I was a bit. I kind of digress a bit. So back to the topic. Actually, I was going to say actually in Hearthstone it's quite sad because for me I will add friends to check on their cool decks. But when people add me, they'll be like, "Oh, you shit ass gamer, you freaking lucky ass gamer," or like your mom has cancer or something like that.
They do.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, there's a lot of people like to hate ad, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, so for me, actually, I've come to a point where I no longer accept friend requests unless I know the person. And for me, I went away thinking, okay, the Hearthstone community kind of sucks. And if you go to Reddit, actually, you can see it kind of sucks. But then again, Reddit is a place where you see people saying random shit here and there. But I happened to find Born to Be Well. So what happened was actually I was just trying to search for stuff online randomly. I randomly come across Born to Be Well HS. I was like, okay, this looks very cool. Let's look into it.
Nice.
And yeah, going to Discord. I also went to read up on your website about the podcast thing. I was like, oh my god, this thing is really cool. I hope one day I'll be able to get onto the podcast. And
Aw.
actually, I was thinking about it sometime in August, like in early August when I was streaming more often. Because actually in March, I began streaming because of the listener series to stream my matches. The first game I played happened to be Shavasena Shia, so I got trashed by him. That was the first game I played in the whole series, in the first season. And since then I was like, okay, why not I just stream as a hobby? So yeah, I streamed for a few months and I was like, in August I was thinking, actually I feel like I really want to be part of the podcast, but I do not want to ask around and sound like I'm demanding and sound very rude. So I was like, okay, I will just see how this goes. And my first game this season was against Nate. Just nice, it was the proper week. So he bought his favorite Pirate Warrior, catch me with that, Warlock Shaman, and Discard Warlock. So I went 2-3 with him. And then after the game, I uploaded my stream, which was the record of our match together. And he was like, actually, Cyberon, are you interested to join our podcast sometime? No pressure. And I was like, yes, I am. I replied him so fast.
Yeah, it was like immediately. You responded so fast. It was great.
That was what I was waiting for, but I didn't really tell anybody because, yeah, like I mentioned, I didn't want to sound like I was rude or demanding. If I were to ask you, can I stream in a podcast? Or can I join a podcast? I don't know whether they'll come off as rude. I think it would. It'll be demanding. So I didn't want to take that approach. I was like, okay, let's sit and wait. And yeah, I got what I wanted to join the podcast.
That's great. Hey, we're really happy to have
Yeah.
you on. So this is great. We'll have a great time.
All right, well, let's move on to what I did this week, and that was nothing.
Jealousy abounds.
Yeah, so I had my vacation, and it's over now. It's sad, but it's the weekend, so I guess I can't complain.
Right.
Did the thing, went with the family out to the lake, and we had a hotel out there with the beach, and it was an absolute fantastic time. We talked about how there's the cool floating water park that they have out there, and one of the things that everybody loves, a big feature, is this launch pad thing that they have.
Yeah, it looks
there.
like so much fun.
And so it's an amazing amount of fun. And me and my son were up there and we're waiting in line to go, and I'm standing there amongst people that are a lot younger than me, and all the other parents are kind of standing around the bottom. They got their iPhones out and they're taking pictures and stuff, and these kids are trying to launch themselves. Like, so one 12-year-old or 13-year-old will sit on the end and the other one will jump, and they'll get like 2 feet of air because physics, I guess.
Yeah.
Until one kid goes, "Hey, you, can you launch me?" And I'm like, "Sure." So like I got to skip.
You never ask.
I skip to the front of the line to launch you. And so I launched this kid, and they see the kid go absolutely flying, because once again, physics, right?
Uh-huh.
And all the other kids are like, whoa, you can go that high? So
Mr. Hyderless, can you launch me too?
that's exactly what ended up happening. So once you do it, you got to like roll off that giant pillow like to the side, and you got to swim back around and like pull yourself back up onto the floating platform and climb back up that tower, and then do it again and again and again and again and again and again, launching all of the children in line. So that was fun, but extremely exhausting.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
I can tell, yeah.
And but it was great. And we even actually, there was a teenager that was of basically adult size, and then him and I ended up teaming up, and then we would both jump and then launch kids even higher. So now they were just like flying, and it was absolutely fun.
That's great.
I almost
Quick
felt like,
question.
oh yeah.
How many breached the atmosphere?
At least 6, maybe 12.
Solid.
Nice.
So that was a blast, and glad all the kids had a fun time. And then after that, we made our way to this floating ball that they have out on the water. And this ball is a giant teeter-totter that can 360 spin. It's not a teeter-totter that just goes back and forth one way. It goes all the ways. And so what it has is this rope ladder that comes down from the top side of it to get you to climb up. And it's a pretty high ladder. But once you get on the rope ladder, what it does is, since it's a ball, the rope ladder wants to go under the ball, right? So now you're climbing up at like a angle going upwards, where like adults like myself had a really hard time doing, even the kids. So I was at the bottom of this thing, and when kids were trying to get up, I'm like pushing these kids to like get up the thing, and they're like, come up here. So I'm trying to get up this thing. And at the very, if anybody can see the image, anybody live or watching the YouTube video, there's this precipice, this ridge you need to get over. And once I got to that point, I had to put every ounce of strength into grabbing and then just pulling, not using my legs, my whole body, just with my arms over to the top.
And was this after the blob? So you
This
were
is
already
after
exhausted?
the blob. After the
Yep.
blob. And
Yep.
I got up and I slipped.
Oh,
And there's these like long log like protrusions sticking out of it. If you guys are watching the video, I slipped and my leg went under one of those. And so I'm hanging off the edge with my bottom half of a leg under one of those, like flopped off the side. And and I'm going like, oh my gosh, what do I try to pull myself up? And like I tried, and then I just accepted defeat and just like straightened my foot because I had it hooked, and just like let myself fall back into the water. And my son was up there, and he's like, come back up, Dad, come back up. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And I got to that point again at that precipice where you had to go, and I'm like, boy, I now admit defeat. I'm too old to climb up this thing again. Like, I made it up once, I cannot do it. And I just dropped back down, and there was a mother who was swimming up, and she's like, should I even try? I'm like, no, don't even try.
At that point, since like you had launched all those kiddos, you should have been like, all right, I got up here. It's your turn to carry me. And then like had them pull you
Have them all
into
the
blob.
kids pull me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah, I just couldn't. It was hours of absolute fun. It was a hot day. It was sunny. It was absolutely beautiful, and it was really strange to be out in public and doing things, because I have not like done that since this whole COVID thing. So it was all outdoors, so it was a more, safer environment instead of like being inside in closed spaces with people in public. But it was really cool. And I managed while I was there to get to sneak in and see the Mercenaries reveal on the vacation.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so that was really cool for me to be able to see that. And I just want to quickly touch on the fact that I wasn't on social media. I didn't get to see anybody else's reaction to this mode.
Probably a good thing.
And I'm watching it, and I'm actually genuinely excited. I'm like, whoa, cool, look at all these things. And I've never played games like Raid, Shadow Legends, and stuff that people are comparing this to. Like, I've never seen these games, right? And so I'm like, look at this. This is awesome. We got all these cool things. Oh my gosh, Diablo's here. We got all this PvE, PvP content. You get to like level up your dudes. Like, this looks so cool. And I was like all excited, and then, shut it off, go back to vacation mode. And then I came back from vacation and I listened.
Everyone's upset. Everything's on fire.
Yeah. I'm like, what? I was like so confused. Like, I will say, while I watched the release, the reveal video, I was like a little overwhelmed.
Sure.
When I watched it, because there was just a million miles of stuff. Like there was so much content coming at you at once. I feel like they tried to explain an entire encyclopedia to you in like half an hour, kind of thing. But at the same time, I was like, I want to know more. I want to learn more. This game mode looks awesome. And then, I came back and I listened to a couple of podcasts and read the internet. I should not have read the internet. And everyone's like, boo. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm still going to play
on your parade. I know, right?
And I'm like, so am I stupid for pre-ordering the Diablo one?
I did too, so don't feel too bad.
I did 3, so don't feel too bad.
Yeah, we'll play it all together. See, it'll be fun.
And that's a Diablo that I'll play with y'all. So
hey, there we go.
Yeah. So it was kind of weird to go from being super excited to seeing everyone bummed out, but like I get it. You guys already talked about it last week, but so I can move on from that. The one thing that I also did was, so this lake is not far from the house. I actually had to sneak back for work reasons, and I dropped in the house quickly, and I'm like,
I think I'll play some Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Clear your daily and weekly quests on all.
Yeah, you did. Wow. I totally did that. Guilty as charged. Like mid-vacation, pop back in the house.
Did Mrs. Hydra know that before right now, or is she hearing that for the first time?
She's currently in the bedroom with the door closed, so I don't know. If she listens to the episode, she'll find out.
Otherwise, you're in the clear.
She knows that I had to pop back in, but I don't know about the Hearthstone stuff. And then I actually stayed a little longer than planned, because what happened was I opened the client and then suddenly I got 15 free packs, and I didn't know why I got 15 free packs. And then I opened my EU account and I also had 15 free packs, and suddenly I had the rewards track. And I'm like, what is going on? And then did the same thing over in Asia. And then I got triple the rewards tracks, even though I had the first one. And now I was kind of bummed because I paid for the first rewards track, and I would have actually got it like on NA for free, because all of this was the WoW thing, right? Like if you had got your 6-month subscription, you get all of this stuff. And it's not even just this month. They do this for the next, you get next expansion stuff too, rewards track for this 6-month thing.
Wow.
So like, yeah, I'm going to get the rewards track again on all 3 accounts come next time, because of the one-time purchase that I didn't know that I was making.
Your WoW subscription?
That my WoW subscription renewed. And so you get the rewards track and you get the 15 times packs. Oh, and you get Battlegrounds perks as well included in there. I don't know. I guess they really either they're rewarding people that play WoW or they want people that play WoW to play Hearthstone. But they give you so much free stuff. It's ridiculous. So I now have the rewards track and a bunch of free cards. And I ended up nailing the Demon Seed on, I think it was EU, and I didn't have it there. And so I'm like, that's pretty cool. And I got a whole bunch. I should have recorded every single legendary. I didn't really have the time. I was kind of trying to be quick. But I screenshotted the fact that I got the Demon Seed. But there was at least 3 or 4 more that I had gotten across all the accounts just from these free packs. So absolutely cannot complain. I thought that maybe I had done something Blizzard liked me. Like, why am I getting all these things?
They like your money.
They like my money, yeah. But so that was super cool. Then back to vacation life. We had a really, really good time. We had family that came in from Vancouver Island, and then we stayed at our other in-laws place, my sister-in-law's place that's a little down south. And yeah, we just had a really good time. It was great. It was a good time off. I ended up doing the cool card back thing too that you guys did
Nice.
there. And
Nice.
luckily I did do both on the first try.
Wow, good job.
Let's go.
What I did is I copied and pasted the solution into Notepad. And it was funny because my wife was sitting next to me watching Modern Family on TV. And she's laughing and the show's on. And I'm like, okay, headphones on, like, earplugs in under headphones. Like, like one monitor has the Notepad. I'm like, okay, up.
You're ready to enter the matrix.
And then it's like delete up on the Notepad. All right, left, delete left, and that so on and so forth until it was over. And I managed to make it through without messing it up. So
Wow.
I was glad because it was like 250 moves or something.
It was
like
a lot. It was 230 or 250 or something like that. It was a lot.
Yeah, I did it on lunch one day whenever I did it before last week's show, and I watched a video. I couldn't follow the text explanations, maybe because of my ADHD, maybe just because of me. So hyper kudos for being able to follow it via text format rather than following a video guide.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you.
big time.
Yeah, so that worked, and then I used a spreadsheet as well for the second, which I believe everyone in humanity so far has used the spreadsheet as well because nobody else knows how to do it. So I used that, and I got through that pretty quickly. That part wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But once you did the first section on the spreadsheet, so part number 2, first section, then you had to do 5 more or whatever.
Yeah, but it was pretty easy from there, right? Not too bad.
Yeah, because the first one had the inputs that you had to put in, but then every subsequent step was the same regardless of what inputs you had. So
Yeah. And now I'm back at work, and I just got back, and we've learned that we have an ISO audit next week, and so that's sort of a big deal, and got that to look forward to starting Monday. But other than that, that's basically been my time off. I'm looking forward to jumping back in. I'm looking forward to seeing what's the best way to beat Seedlock now. Let's go. I'm ready for it. So that's basically been my week. Let's jump into what's going on with the Listener Series. Sheep.
yeah, so this is the 3rd week of the Listener Series, and the challenge this week is called Keyword Craze, and it was submitted by our very own guest this week, the Cyberon.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So in Keyword Craze, participants must have decks that contain at least one card with each of the following keywords: Divine Shield, Taunt, Stealth, Wind Fury, Charge, Rush, Lifesteal, Battle Cry, and Death Rattle. So those keywords don't just have to be on the card, but they have to be attributed to the card itself. So, for example, the Wind Fury Murloc dude, whose name I'm forgetting right now, that used to just have Wind Fury, now that's a Battle Cry.
Right.
So that only counts as your Battle Cry minion and not your Wind Fury, because the Wind Fury itself is conditional.
We fielded a lot of questions in the beginning of the week too. But this challenge has been fun. I had a lot of fun building these decks for sure.
Yeah, they were a blast to put together. So each keyword counts different per card. So for example, if you have 2 Annoyotrons in your deck, they will all only count for either Taunt or Divine Shield, but not both, even though you have 2 Annoyotrons. Annoyotron itself takes up 1 slot whenever you're looking at the deck list. So it counts for 1 of that particular attribute. So, however, if you're running Annoyotron and Annoyo module, 1 counts for 1 counts for the other. That's what I did. That's what I did with Mech Paladin. By the way,
It worked well.
yeah. So we had it was so much fun. So we did have some banned cards this week. Those banned cards were Grime Street Outfitter, which I had to cut from my Mech Paladin, Alliance Bannerman, and Glowstone Technician. So we had some really inventive decks this week. I myself brought an Aggro Druid, LPG Mage, a Mech Paladin, and an Elemental Shaman. So highlighting all of those kind of things that work really well with having all those keywords, like with mechs that have magnetic, Aggro Druid, like cheap little dudes that can smack you in the face real quick, and elementals who typically have those, and LPG mages. LPG mage.
Right. Good time. So this was a fun challenge. I liked it.
It was a blast. So Nate and Cyberon, I know that y'all came up with lists. What was probably your favorite list to put together for this challenge?
I mean, for me, real quick, I'll just say I think for most of these weeks you can take kind of a meta deck and then swap out a couple of cards, and I was trying to not do that. And so my favorite deck that I put together this week was this, like, it was a Reno Shutterwalk Shaman with a whole bunch of probably bad cards in it, but like it was so much fun to play. The other decks were kind of like so I put together an LPG Mage as well. And some other stuff, but like the Reno Shutterwalk Shaman was like my favorite for sure. It was enjoyable, and sitting here trying to, like, I had to get Sheep made a spreadsheet, I had a Word doc, and try to make sure that my deck lists were valid, because a lot of times you're like, Ziliax was one for me, like, oh, do I use it for Rush, or do I use it for Lifesteal, or do I use it for Taunt, or do I use it for Divine Shield? And like, it could slot anywhere but only once. And it doing that kind of stuff, it was really fun and really interesting, trying to make sure that we followed all of the conditions, and so I enjoyed it. I know, Cybreon, you were saying that your opponent this week pulled out of the competition, and so you didn't get to play, so that's unfortunate. But it sounds like you put decks together. Did you have anything in particular that you really enjoyed building?
For me, actually, I look at what I had in the previous week. So I had Questline Warrior. So actually, one of the decks that I had in my mind was Questline Warrior again. So I had many minions that already had keywords. Like there was Taunt from the Sword Eater, there was Rush from the Wakara, there was Battle Cry from like South Sea something, and there was a lot of stuff here and there. So I only had to substitute out a few cards that were not so good. So I put in some cards that had Lifesteal and Taunt, and Divine Shield, sorry. Yeah, so that was the first deck that I made. Second deck that I made was equally dirty. It was Questline Warlock. Yeah, it was Siglock. So I kept the normal stuff. I kept the dark glass also. I took out some of the other stuff that I forgot what I took out actually, but I put in some things like the card that gave life to. I forgot the GT Ankle Biter 2 mana card. Yeah, and I put in some other things here and there with the Divine Shield, with the Wind Fury, the Dragon Hawk, the 1 mana guy 1/1. Yeah, so that was the Wind Fury guy that was in almost all of my decks. It was that same card, a small card with 1 mana 1/1. And my third deck that I made was Reno Priest, and then the fourth deck was RPG Mage. Reno Priest was as in even though it was like different cards from the normal list, but it was still super consistent. I actually played some games to practice against SchmoopieMommy, against Jules, and it fared quite well, I guess. As for RPG Mage, actually it's about there. You just put in 1 or 2 cards and you got the whole list. And actually on top of that, I also got a fifth deck. I got a fifth deck that I wanted to bring, which was a Spiteful Dread. So it was anyway, it was only 4 minions. It only had I think it had Guided Animals. Yeah, Guided Animals and Survival of the Fittest. It only had 4 spells. So it was like 26 minions. No sorry, 25 minions with 1 weapon. 25 minions, 1 spell of Sapiens, and 4 spells. So it had cards like the Teacher's Pet. What else did it have? Twilight Runner. It had like Zildex. So almost every keyword is there already. Yeah, so actually I thought of bringing that, but I was thinking through my list. Okay, it's essentially a 5 choose 4. And I was like, every time I make 5 decks or 6 decks, I always don't know what to cut and what to bring. So I was like, okay, I think I bring 2 quest decks and 2 Reno decks. And I was like, okay, fine, I will take out the Dread. But anyway, it didn't matter because I couldn't get to play the game.
Nice.
Yeah, but I imagine that'd be fun lah. And because it's my very own challenge that I kind of like sent to you guys, and it just so happened that I couldn't play my own challenge. But it's okay.
That's a
I guess
bummer.
it's fine.
I'm glad you got some practice games in though. That's good.
Yeah, especially against it sounds like one of your practice partners was Jules, and Jules and I practiced, and that's actually where I got the idea to run an LPG mage, was in my games against Jules.
Yeah, and he also brought a shaman. I think it was a Death Fighter shaman with Nazov with Talon Fort Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pretty cool.
So, as you can tell, a lot of really fun and really inventive and ingenious decks this week. So, after the show this evening, we will be casting the match between Bane and Ben from work.
Nice.
So, if you're watching live, we will stream it right after the show, so stick around. And if you're catching this on the replay, then Nate posts the casted matches on YouTube. So if you're listening on the podcast feed or watching on YouTube, check out the Born to Be Wild YouTube channel, and the casted matches will be there. I mean, he pretty much uploads them at the same time, so they'll be there as soon as you're watching or listening to this on the replay.
Rock and roll.
That is it here in the Listener Series. Stick around for our casted match after this. But outside of the Listener Series, what's been going on in the world of Hearthstone this week, Hydra?
Well, first up, earlier this week on Tuesday, the Book of Mercenaries Tamsin is now live. And we got a cool tweet from Matt London asking what's the biggest surprise that you've seen in this adventure. I've seen a few comments here and there from different people online about how they're feeling about this adventure. I've seen people really enjoying it. Who here has played it? Cyberon, have you played it yet?
Actually, I haven't played most of the single player challenges. I think I played only the first few of the Book of Heroes until Troll, the Shaman guy. I didn't play Mafian, I didn't play Gudan and Illidan. And I didn't play any of the Mercenaries single player adventures because I was too lazy. And I was like, okay, anyway, I got everything I wanted from the expansion from Stormwind. I was like, if I were to open the pack, like because they give you packs that are containing cards from the particular class, like a Shaman class or like Warlock class, I was like, should I play the adventure now and get the packs, or should I wait until next expansion and get the packs and open the cards from the next expansion? So I was like thinking of that from that perspective. Actually, because I was also lazy, so I didn't finish the adventures yet.
Yeah,
I will get to doing that someday.
I feel like the the adventures that they have here aren't exactly for the pack at the end. It's more for the experience, right? So if it's all in the storytelling, and if it's not something that you really care about, then you're not gonna really do it. So that's totally fine. I know lots of people that don't do it. Sheep seems super eager to tell me about his experience.
Yeah. So two things. One, the reward was the friends you made along the way. And two, I love the single player, the like solo adventures. That's one of my favorite ways to engage with the game. Every time they roll out with a new one, I jump on it. So I completed this, not the very day that it was released, but the next day in the bathtub in the morning, and finished it up at lunch that afternoon. So it was a blast. There's some twists and turns. I will say the penultimate level was probably the hardest, and then afterwards, however much it was like really flavorful for the final level, it was a cakewalk compared to the penultimate level. Like it wasn't like crazy easy, but compared to the penultimate level, it was. So that was kind of my experience with the Tamsin Book of Mercenaries. I had fun. It was a good story. What did you think about Book of Mercenaries, Tamsin, and Nathaniel Wolf?
Yeah, I liked it. I really enjoy all the PvE content, though, and I always have. I think video games in general, for years and years and years, typically what I play are single-player games because I like the story. And so I've gone through, with Hearthstone, all of the single-player content. I've done all the heroic everything, and so when these Book of Heroes, Book of Mercenaries come out, like I play them right away. Maybe not day of, sometimes day of, or sometimes like I'll take my time. With Tamsin, I think I started it day one and then finished it the second day. But I agree with you. You get to I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it's like the second to the last boss, and it was like, oh wait, this is hard actually. And then I kind of breezed through the rest of it. So the final boss wasn't that difficult to me. I don't know. Like I saw Matt's tweet, and he says, like, what was the biggest surprise? And I'm like, the biggest surprise is that the second to last boss was really hard. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, the story, I didn't really think there were really surprises there for me. There was an interesting thing with the priest character that was kind of interesting. And actually, I had tweeted at Matt, like I responded to this tweet, and I said, hey, can we get this hero portrait for the priest, because it was awesome. And I had to go double check to see if it was in game, and it was not. And he responded like with the winky. It was like, I'll see what I can do. I was like, oh, it's coming. It's like one of these that we'll get, next expansion at the like level 100 or something, I'm sure, because like that's what this Tamsin one is right here on the screen right now.
Yeah.
In the words of Treebeard, don't be hasty.
I got 40 dust from my pack, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. And my only complaint about it, and I guess it's because of the story, but like her decks were terrible. Like,
they were so bad.
They could have made them better by doing one thing. Like if you had the quest, her decks would have been fine. But it was like a bunch of self-damage cards and a bunch of discard cards with no upside. Like if you played the Demon Seed, cool, I'll discard my whole deck. I don't care. Or I don't care if my minions deal damage to me every time I attack. If I've got that, but without it, it was more challenging to like, oh, I have to win with this terrible deck. Oh, all right. And I was able to do it, but I will say that it wasn't like I just sailed through. Like it took a couple tries on some of them because either I drew poorly or my deck was really bad, and we had to kind of figure out the right strategy. But overall, it was enjoyable. I liked it. So
the only one I had to play multiple times was the penultimate one, and that one was like 3 or 4 times. It was pretty tough, but the rest of them have really good story elements, and I also may have high rolled. Like, who knows?
Yeah,
That totally happens. I've played adventures where people say this boss was really easy, and it took me like 3 or 4 tries to do it. And then other ones where this boss was horribly difficult, and I'm like, I won by turn 6. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, the one that I won in the penultimate boss felt like a cakewalk. And if I hadn't played the like 2 or 3 times before then I would have been like, what's Nate talking about that this was difficult? But I had played the 2 or 3 times before, and so I had that experience to know that it was difficult whenever you didn't draw really well.
yeah.
Or know how to navigate it too was kind of a big one for that in particular.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next point that we have in news. And we finally, and I don't think it was really that long, have a patch that solved the Cthulhu bug. So we will no longer be dying on, turn 5 to like 128 Cthulhu. I thought there was a really funny question from Silent Nick. I wouldn't say funny, but sort of funny, because Silent Nick had asked, are wild players using the Cthulhu bug passable, or like, are they going to get banned or suspended for playing this? And Ixar responded with, nah, we're looking to fix it.
He had to say no.
It's not a big deal. It's fine. I wonder why.
Could it possibly be that he was caught red-handed playing against a friend of the show and former special guest, Taylor Eve?
Yes.
Playing this exact same bugged deck.
Red-handed. That was so funny.
It's like, no, don't worry about it. No one's going to get in trouble for this.
You know, though, so here's the thing. Otters hit legend with that deck, which is really funny. But when he shared his stats, the deck had like a 35% win rate or something, you know? And so it's like, I mean, I get it, but it's one of those, like, it feels so bad. And if somebody's exploiting a known bug to, like, scam wins, it's like, oh, come on now.
Yeah, I played like 3 or 4 on my climb up to legend as the questline hunter, right? So until you get your questline, or at the very least you progress enough to where you have a 0 mana hero power with Auction Master Beardo, you're kind of just not wasting time, but controlling the board, etc. Even at that, I think I won 3 of the 4 games that I played against it, or like 3 of the 5. I had a positive win rate against it at the very least. Just kind of knowing what they were up to and that you have to race them down, and you could get there.
I mean, if you're quote unquote abusing a deck that only wins like 30 to 40% of the time, I think it's okay.
Right.
So the hotfix went live yesterday. So this is no longer working anymore. So if you wanted to try it, sorry, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it's too late. But there's plenty of YouTube videos to go watch if you want to see how it worked.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, I mean, honestly, it's kind of funny. Like, hey, wait a minute. Maximum Blastenheimer is viable again? What? A Cthulhu deck in 2021? What?
And they didn't even give a full dust refund for Maxima Blastenheimer after this. Like, come on.
Or Cthulhu.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, man.
Well, today is a bit of an exciting day. Hopefully, fingers crossed, because today is the day that Alec Dawson had said that they're going to be deciding if changes are going to be needed for more nerfs or anything like that. And he actually made a tweet saying that this is still the plan, and that the next full patch will be created specifically for balance changes, talking about nerfs and about buffs. And that
I think we're going to get one this time.
I think so, because he also stated that the approach to Wild is to only act in extreme cases. And we've heard this before.
Yeah.
But followed by the current case is probably clearing that bar. So I think we're finally going to see something. I mean, kind of getting my hopes up because I've had a bit of a... I'm always an optimistic person. I always like to glass half full. But when I came back from vacation and I tried to play some Wild, I was just instantly bummed. Like it wasn't like I was like, all right, let's go. I've been off the game for a while. Let's play. And it was Warlock.
Yeah.
Like,
How long can this go on?
literally first 3 games. First 3 games was Seed Warlock, and I lost every time. And then the 4th game was something else, and then the 5th game was back to Warlock. And so, like, man, I was like stoked. I was happy to play, get back in there, and it just wasn't a pleasurable experience. It really wasn't. So
Little did you know you were coming back to Born to be Warlock, a Warlock exclusive podcast.
thanks, Gold Daniel.
Uh-huh. Yep.
But yeah, so as I stated, it's supposed to be apparently that this is clearing the bar that of the statement that they've made that they only act in extreme cases, and so it sounds like we're actually going to get it.
Yeah,
So-
we'll see. I think maybe.
And if it is, I mean, they wouldn't lead us on, would they really?
No, especially now.
At this point, I don't think they could.
Yeah, I know we were talking a few weeks ago about how to best address the situation in our format, and I said it a few weeks ago, and I'm going to double down on it here. I think that we're going to see another ban, and I think the Demon Seed is going to be banned in our format.
That
Just
would be
calling it now.
extreme. Wow. But someone mentioned last week that they were looking at Crystallizer.
Yeah, but I mean, even if they cut Crystallizer,
I don't know.
I feel like
I don't
it's still
think
just
that's
going to
enough.
be an abusive deck. Like, people are still going to abuse the deck, right? So,
I swear, like, the change in my mind seems so easy. Someone had asked me about this on stream last night about my thoughts on this, and I think it makes a lot of sense that Warlock, like thematically, that Warlock needs to spend life to continue their quest, or they get some reward
Right.
for spending life. What doesn't make sense is for them to further the quest by spending armor.
right.
And so if they did away with that, like, you have to spend actual health. And I don't care about Crystallizer, and I don't care about Armor Vendor, and that helps, I think. Part of the thing that is difficult too, I think, with the Demon Seed is when you complete the various parts of the side quest is that you gain, like, it's that 3 damage lifesteal. And
Yeah.
it's like, so there's no punish. Like, you just tap, damage, no punish at all. And it's, if they either dealt with the armor issue or they got rid of some of the lifesteal along the
Or
way.
fatigue. That's crazy to me. They can just kill you in fatigue that way.
Yeah.
The Cataclysm build is
Oh, it's nutty.
Wild.
Yeah, it's truly.
Oh,
truly,
yeah,
so.
that's the one that I lost. My final fatigue hit was -17.
I lost a Jailstorm tonight playing. I didn't play that one. I brought it. It pulled the ban. That's the only reason I brought it.
Yeah. I've been
But,
bringing it every week too. Not that I want to play it, but I know that it's going to get banned
Exactly.
because nobody wants to play against it either. So.
Yeah. The Cyberon, do you have any thoughts on what this nerf could be? It does say buffs, by the way. It says nerfs plus buffs. Do you have any hot takes here?
For the nerf, I'm pretty sure they will hit Zidlock in some way or another. Maybe like what you said earlier, Crystallizer, which is what most people have said. Crystallizer is one of those cards that make the archetype so oppressive. But I'm not sure whether there will be the change or they will actually target that quest line. because for me, I'm not so worried about just Seed Dog. I'm also worried about other quest lines, like maybe like questline warrior, questline shaman. Like from what I guess if you take Seed Dog out of the picture, you will see questline shaman becoming one of the decks that will kill you from hand in like 6 turns or something like that, because they have a lot of burst. They got like Cracker, they got like Overdraft, they got Lightning Bot, they got a lot of burn, and they got Spirit of the Frog. So this is something that will be quite difficult to deal with. I don't know. I feel like generally quest lines, I mean Seed Dog is one thing, but quest lines as a whole might have to be changed in some way. But I'm not sure how to change it. Like one of the things that I thought of was maybe making the rewards become 7 mana instead of 5 mana. It will slow them down a bit. But I'm not very sure whether that will be the solution. I'm not very sure about the ban also. The ban, they ban Sealer, they ban Sealer of Souls because of the interaction between Sealer and Souls and the Violet illusions, I think. The one that gives you immune, and you got Thought Twist and all that kind of stuff. I don't know about Seed Dog actually. I don't know whether they will ban it or they will just change it. I'm not very sure. Yeah, for nerfs, but I really hope that either way something is done, because if not, they're just going to play against Seed Dog or something that counters Seed Dog. Because actually for me, when I played Ladder, even though I was earning a 9-star bonus, I also seen quite a few Seed Dogs. But they misplayed quite a bit, so I'm okay with that. But, I mean, imagine being at 10-star bonus or 11-star bonus. You wouldn't really see them playing that much, and you would feel very bad to play against them and lose against them. And it's pretty much saying the same thing over and over again on Ladder. It feels so bad, man. And the counters, I don't know what are the counters exactly. A mage deck that has Social Apprentice and Ignite, the Infinite Ignite combo, whatever the deck is called. Exodia Mage is it. And there is also some things here and there, like there's the Odd Questline Hunter, which is quite good, I guess. And and also Questline Warrior is still a thing. Actually, I picked Questline Warrior for this month to reach Diamond 10. I'm not sure whether I will go further to Diamond 5, but I will see how it goes. I will also look at the nerfs, and I will see what happens afterwards. I think for the nerfs is going to be the quest line. I'm not sure whether they are going to do anything else, but if they buff something, actually I'm not very sure what they are buff, but I think
it was interesting.
Yeah.
Dean did his AMA right before the show started tonight, and someone had asked him about buffs, and essentially his response was that they don't really like buffs because it doesn't have that much of an impact on the meta in comparison to nerfs. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I thought it was pretty interesting because he started talking percents and was saying that, like, hey, we can do buffs, but if you're looking for a shake-up, like, it doesn't really shake things up the way that you think that they would. It was really interesting. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because I just read it. Like, it happened right before.
Yeah, while you look for that, I think it's kind of worth noting as well that while we're definitely getting while we're almost certainly getting a nerf specifically for Wild, outside of this kind of outlier, most of the time the nerfs and buffs are in conjunction or supporting rather the standard game, right? So while for us in Wild, something like a questline warrior, pirate warrior, is super strong and on the verge of, if demon seed warlock kind of fades away, that could be the king here before too long. In standard, it's kind of laughable because, like I tried to port over my pirate warrior into standard because I was like, oh, I shouldn't need to change that many cards. I didn't do it because there were so many cards in that are wild, because they just don't have as many and definitely as many good pirates as we do. So something like I hate to say it because it's already so strong in Wild, but whenever they're looking at buffs, I can see something like the warrior quest line actually pulling in a buff, or
someone mentioned it, that one specifically.
Yeah. One that we could benefit from as well. I can see the druid quest line getting a buff. I could also see the shaman quest line pulling a nerf because it's already pretty strong in standard even. And with Demon Seed, one of the things that's kind of keeping it in check, pulling down possibly if it's a nerf rather than a ban for Wild, then I can see that kind of being nerfed to keep that from, being the kind of next oppressive deck that everyone's complaining about.
Yeah.
So those are kind of my thoughts before we move on to what Nate pulled up from Ixar's AMA.
Yeah. So the question actually was from our friend Imic. The question says, would you ever consider, for example, buffing 1 to 3 cards each week or month to shake up the meta? And Dean says, buffs don't do a very good job of shaking up the meta. Nerfs are much better for that. If you think about what cards we nerf and why, we're usually taking archetypes that are between 10 to 25% play rate and tuning them down. Defining success for these changes is pretty broad. We might take a 25% deck down to 9% and call that a success. That means that pocket of 16% is filled with different decks, which is a pretty big shakeup. The window of success for a buff is much smaller. We might look at a deck that is 2% play rate, and success means it lands somewhere between 6 to 8%. If it's much higher, it probably means we buffed a card so much that now the deck is dependent on drawing it.
Luna's Pocket Galaxy.
Right? Much lower, and we didn't actually make much of an impact. Doesn't mean we shouldn't do buffs, just means that they're less effective as a balancing tool. I thought that was a really good explanation. It wasn't just we don't want to. That was really well thought out answer, and I appreciated that.
Especially with the, hey, if we accidentally go a little overboard, then, that turns it from being not necessarily unplayable, but not super meta to being super broken. Like whenever I coughed out Luna's Pocket Galaxy earlier at 5, that was completely broken.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
All right. Well, any final thoughts on that before we move into the meta discussion?
I mean, all I will say is that I would predict that we will probably hear about whatever pending changes are early next week, and then we'll talk about them on next week's show. There's my broad prediction. I mean,
yeah,
agreed.
So
yeah, they'll talk about it today. They'll sleep on it over the weekend. They'll confirm on Monday with each other. Then maybe tell us on Tuesday.
Typically patches go out on Tuesdays, I think, but not always. I mean, they could do whatever, and I don't know. I'm not holding my breath. I'll say that.
Yeah, we've seen Tuesdays and Thursdays fairly frequently for patches.
Yeah.
That said, the turnaround in evaluating the data, making the decision, figuring out how to put it into a patch, whether it's a server-side patch or, rolling it out in a full patch, I would imagine that we'll probably, and this is just speculation, but I imagine we'll probably get the word of it on probably Thursday with the patch, be it server-side or full downloadable patch, the following Tuesday. So that's kind of my gazing into my crystal ball. But who knows for sure? They've been pretty quick on the turnaround with these a lot lately, which is great.
Yeah.
So that slight delay could be expedited, which would be cool too. But that's my guess.
Yeah. Yep. That sounds about right. So, all right. Well, let's jump into kind of the news or the meta discussion, the decks of the week, what we've been playing, and I don't have a lot here. I was going through, our different kind of news sources, and I saw an article this week on Hearthstone that I thought was kind of fun, and I was curious. It's just all the normal type of thing. Hottest decks for United and Stormwind, and then it said Standard and Wild. I thought, I'll check it out. Let me see what Wild decks they are. And I enjoyed it just because it wasn't necessarily all meta stuff. Not to really dig into it. I'll share the link here in chat, and it's in the show notes. But it's kind of fun, and honestly, it was some kind of off meta stuff. And so it was interesting if you're looking for stuff to play. In terms of meta in general, I feel like I don't have a super good grasp on it because I haven't been laddering hard this week. My plan for the weekend was to grind pretty hard. I'm not quite sure when yet, but to try to rank up a little bit, and I'll have a better take next week. The Cthulhu Hunter is no longer going to be playable, but it was such a low win rate that I'm a little bit disappointed that it's going to be off ladder. It just means we'll get a couple more warlocks, right? Last week, it was lots of warlocks. When I did my climb, it was, almost 40% warlock. I imagine that it's probably similar for other people as well. So, but that being said, like, I don't have a super good read on it. I'm curious, like, 'cause Sheep, you just hit legend. What was the meta like for you?
Yeah, so that was about a week ago at this point. It was a lot of warlock, decent amount of hunter, which was kind of surprising. I thought I was picking an off meta deck whenever I was climbing with it, but a decent amount of hunter, a secret mage or two, which was a little surprising as well, but predominantly warlock for sure. And Pirate Warrior, of course. And in Pirate Warrior, as the questline hunter, you're pretty much the control deck until you're the combo deck, which is kind of a fun turnaround. I think I posted in our THL, Wild THL team chat whenever I was doing the recap. It was, hunter controls warrior, because that's the reality we live in now.
Isn't that crazy? Like, what?
It's wild.
Truly is wild. Well, in talking a little bit about what we've been playing, like, we'll get into decks in a minute. I got a couple questions for you, Sheep, about your hunter, because the one I've been playing is very similar, but there's 3 or 4 cards different. What I was playing this week was I was trying to learn Ignite Mage, and this is a really interesting deck. I mean, I'm a fan of these combo decks or OTK Exodia type things. Sometimes I struggle with the APM decks. This one, the combo itself is not that hard to pull off when you know what you're looking for. What really I found difficult here was the animations are so slow. Like, trying to OTK and not running out of time. And it's like, okay, well, at the bare minimum, I need a Sanctum Chandler and a Sorcerer's Apprentice. But better if I have 2 apprentices. Better yet if I've got 2 Chandlers and 2 apprentices. Better yet if my deck is, like, just about empty. But, like, I had tested out against the Innkeeper a few times, and I was like, oh, I get the hang of this. And I was just going slow and taking my time, and I was like, I see it. I see the combo. Like, there's only, most of the spells in this deck are fire spells, because Chandler will draw more spells, and you want your Ignites to cycle through. It runs Inconspicuous Rider so that it will play your ice block. I swear I always draw my ice blocks, but I draw my patches and my Baku also. There's a couple of arcane spells, but they're just draw cards. So Research Project and Arcane Intellect. But the bulk of it, they're tutor cards. And so you've got the Sandbinder will draw your elementals. The Witchwood Piper draws your apprentices. But where I really struggled, and then I took it to casual. I'm not going to play this on ranked ladder. There's no way. I need to learn it first.
Yeah.
And so I was doing it in casual. And then I was feeling bad because I was like, oh, yeah, my first game with it was against someone playing Death Rattle Hunter, with eggs and stuff. Like, wow, this is fun. Talk about playing your old favorite decks and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And I was going to OTK this person, and I just couldn't do it fast enough. And I didn't waste any time. Start of the turn, I was like, all right, Chandler, Apprentice, Molten Reflection, draw, Fire Spell. And the rope burned, and I just couldn't, because the animation is so slow in sending cards into the deck, drawing cards. I just couldn't do it. I had the combo, and I got them down to 10 health or 8 health or something, and it was I needed maybe 1, maybe 2 more. I just couldn't do it quick enough. And so I don't know if I just need to get good, or if I loved Exodia Mage, but it felt more It felt more viable than this. I don't know. It's interesting. So, have you all played this at all?
I've played against it a fair amount, but I haven't actually played any of it myself yet.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really a shame because I think it looks really fun. It seems like they either try to get there and don't, because I, just get there first with my questline hunter Razapings, or they get there real quick and I just die. The latter seems to happen less than the former. And questline hunter isn't really a beatdown deck. So I don't know how straight up viable it is, but it is a fun deck, or it looks like a fun deck to play. That's kind of what I've seen. Have you seen any of this Ignite Mage Hydra?
No, I actually have not run into this deck specifically, but it really intrigues me. I think that it would be a really fun combo to pull off. I wouldn't mind doing some rounds with you guys and maybe see if we could maybe co-op this and see if we could actually master, seeing if we, as Nate says, gotta just get good, or is it actually, the animations are that slow and that hard to pull off. But it looks really fun and something that I would enjoy playing. I've really been looking for something in Mage to get excited about and play again, because it's been a while for me, and
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. How about you, Cyberon? Have you seen this?
Yeah, actually when I play casual, which is most of the time, actually I see decks that are quite prominent in the meta. So it's like rank 2.0. So I've seen this deck before. I was like, okay, this guy dropped that 5 mana elemental on turn 5. I was like, okay, no big deal. I just do what I'm supposed to do anyway. And then I die next turn. So it's like,
Wow.
so I was like, oh my god, what was that? What just happened to me?
Yeah, I've seen it go as early as turn 5, because you can play Apprentice and then you play the Elemental Evocation, says your next elemental costs 2 less, and then play your Sanctum Chandler for 3, and then you just start playing spells. I mean, the tricky piece is trying to play them fast enough, and that's where I really struggled. But it's pretty gross. I mean, when it pops off, it's incredible. When it happens to you, it feels terrible. So
Can confirm. There was one where I was at full health and they went and the rope got where it should have finished burning. And about a minute later, I died and the rope was still just like at that final
That little nub.
Yeah. So they queued up all of it, but those animations just took forever. So I don't know how they queued up all those ignites, because they still had to draw them, but they got there.
Such a cool card. I say that now.
Oh, it's a hot card.
wow.
Nice one.
All right. Well, let's talk about this hunter deck. I feel like I can contribute, and I've got some questions for you as well, because I was playing something very similar.
Yeah, so I brought an odd questline hunter. This is the one that I hit legend with this past Sunday. So it's a lot of fun. It's very spell heavy. There are a total of, I think, 3 different minions. So one of them is Mystery Winner, which honestly I've considered cutting in general. The other is Auction Master Beardo, because it's basically a second Tavish. And the third one, of course, is Baku the Moon Eater, because that's how you get your 3 attack or your 3 damage hero power. That's kind of the glue that holds it all together.
Baku is definitely the worst card in the deck.
Can confirm. But aside from that, like I said, very spell heavy, because the way that I kind of approached it was I want to be able to, whenever I'm either dropping Beardo or dropping Tavish, I want to be able to refresh my hero power as many times as I can. So, I went with Secret Plan. That gives you 2 refreshes, or you can find either like a Dart Trap, a Snipe, or, of course, Explosive Trap in order to actually get more damage done with spells, which progresses your quest line as well. That one feels like less of a kind of a candidate for the chopping block, specifically because you get 2 spells with it, which gives you 2 refreshes. So that one feels a lot better than something like a Mystery Winner, where the first half doesn't refresh, but the second half does.
Yeah.
So you have to pay 3 mana to refresh rather than 3 mana to refresh twice. So Mystery Winners, kind of on the chopping block. Aside from that, I mean, I guess maybe Unleash the Hounds. That's
where
just in there
Barak,
as a one of.
normally that's where Barak Kodobane is, right? In the Unleashed slot. Yeah.
Well, in standard, for sure. And the question is Kodobane too slow for wild, or will it work? I mean, there's pros and cons. I didn't run it either, but
yeah, I didn't run it specifically because instead of drawing 3 cards, I would only draw 2, and a 5 mana draw 2 on a stick, and a kind of underwhelming stick at that, isn't really as good. Especially because the 2 mana card that you're drawing on the stick in standard is Quick Shot, which whenever you dump your hand draws you another card, as well as giving you more damage. So that's why I kind of cut Barak for my odd quest line Hunter, because it's just not quite as strong in this one as it is in something like a standard where they're not constrained to only the odd cost, but because you get a huge benefit from that, right?
yeah, I like
Makes
it.
sense.
I mean, the deck that we ran, so I got my list from Blue Train. I was looking at, so Sheep had given me this spreadsheet, of course, on Google Docs or Google Sheets, and I was plugging away all of my legend runs on there. And as it turns out, I think the last 4, 5, 6 months, I've hit legend with decks that I got from Blue Train. So
Nice.
There's a pattern emerging here. So that's what I did again this month. And the deck is very similar. The tricky piece with Hunter, I think, at least from my perspective, is that there's very little card draw. And so, I think a lot of times it's easy to misplay this deck because you think, yeah, I want to complete the quest as soon as possible, but then you're top decking, and that is not great. It's very similar to Reno Priest or Raza Priest when you want a machine gun off. Well, you can't do that if your hand is empty.
Right.
And so the difference between these two that I see is that Blue Train's version was running Restaurant Vipers and the Impatient Shopkeep. They're the tradable cards, and so you use them for draw. The other card that this version was running that you aren't is Toxic Reinforcements, and I had kind of mixed feelings about it because now it's interesting. Like, if I found myself wanting to only complete it on my turn so that I could kill them myself with like a bolo shot or something, because there was so many warlocks. And I learned the hard way, like, they'll just run their thing into it and take the 2 damage and then finish their quest. And it was like, no, you can't do that. That's cheating.
Yeah. And in my earlier versions of this deck, I was running Toxic Reinforcements as well. But ended up cutting it specifically because I was running into so many warlocks, and that's either quest progression for them unless I, like power shot it or generate a bolo shot from something. Or it's 6 damage to my face instead of theirs. And
yeah, I learned that one the hard way.
Yeah.
I was running double Toxic Reinforcements, and then once they complete the quest, you just realized you've killed yourself.
I will say that I like your inclusion here of Unleash the Hounds, because if there's a board, they have charge, right? So they can go face. They're beasts, so if you have kill command, they proc that way as well. So I like the inclusion of that. I don't see any other huge notable differences. I like your rationale for Secret Plan, just in that, hey, you can, it's a 1 mana spell that generates another spell that has potential to proc your quest, which is good. Mystery Winter, I'm not a big fan of. I have been playing this same deck in Standard, and it's slower. I don't think it's nearly as good, but it's a lot of fun. I definitely like Codobane in Standard because it's draw 3, and they've been playing Dr. Slade in Standard as well, and it's so fun to have your spells have poison. And those are both odd cost cards. So Slade is 3 and Codobane is 5. But I just think that they're too slow right now. And 5 mana draw 2 feels kind of bad. So I don't know. If things slow down a little bit, like, could we run Slade? Maybe. I wish that there was more draw for Hunter. And maybe it'll get more support in future expansions.
How much is Starving Buzzard? Put that in there.
There are versions. That run it, but like I don't know. You need so many spells. I mean, I know you're joking, but
sort of kidding.
Well, and for me in particular, like Mystery Winter is definitely the weak link. That's the one that if I were to cut for something, that's what I would cut for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't really know what I would kind of put in its place at this juncture. Like if we weren't constrained to just odd cost cards, then like a Scavenger's Ingenuity. Oh wait, we're not running the
you know what though?
Beast ourselves, but we could pull Baku.
That's hilarious. Have you tried Master's Call?
I have not, but that could make sense to tutor Beardo.
Yes, and so I'd like to try. I think it was Corbett was running it, and I ran into someone else who did it. But essentially, let's see, it's a epic hunter spell from Rastikon's Rumble, 3 mana. Discover
all the ones that you would be pulling are beasts, then you just pull all of them. Otherwise, you discover a minion from your deck.
Yeah, so discovering a Beardo is pretty cool, though. If you need it,
it would be.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. Maybe it's not. It's the draw aspect, and so I don't know. I figure it might be worth checking out and trying. Maybe not. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. I'm kind of considering Restaurant Viper in particular in the Mystery Winter slot.
That one worked well for us, I will say.
Yeah, it's tradable, and then if I'm playing against a warrior that hasn't completed their quest yet, and has the Ankar up, I would love to break their Ankar and keep them from drawing pirates to complete their quest line. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've had a blast with it, and I have continued having a blast with it as well. So that's been what I've been playing a lot lately.
Yeah.
I don't know if Hydra or Cyberon had anything prepared here, so I'm going to see if y'all did, and if not, we will progress to the weekly challenge.
No, I totally was off on vacation. I don't have anything new. I did learn that I got debated a little bit into somebody hit Legend with Odd Paladin. I'm like, no way. Right now? I'm like, let's give it a try. So I grabbed a Reaver Ryan list and jammed some odd pally last night, and it did not go well.
It's just not the same. Yeah,
it's just not the same. And I gave it my all, but no dice, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh well. Cybreon, what have you been playing?
For me, actually, I play a lot of different stuff every day. Like for the first part of the week, I was completing my 5 ranked games a week quest. So I was playing Crescent Warrior in the Wild Legendary. Then I went to try Ben from Works Warlock list on Standard. It was pretty good. Yeah, he mentioned that he got to Legend with that deck, and it was pretty good for him. So I was like, okay, sounds quite fun. Why not go and try it on Standard? So actually, I went to try that deck, and it was quite good actually. I managed to win more than I lose. Although I'm still learning the deck, but it's pretty fun, pretty good. But other than that, actually, most of my time is spent in casual as always. Playing literally, because I'm a person that plays like everything. Like I play every class, every archetype. So I played some Pillager Rogue, I played some I forgot what was that, Priest here and there, and some Crescent Shaman. It was pretty good also actually. but it wasn't as good as, I think it's not anywhere near the top dog or what, but it's still quite good. Get quite a lot of fun playing that kind of decks in casual. So for me, it's just a lot of things here and there, but nothing in particular that I really main or whatever.
Yeah, see, that's a good like attitude to have though. That our good friend Wildcard, he loves to play whatever he wants, and he plays a lot in casual as well, and doesn't really get too concerned about what is the best. And sometimes myself can get sort of caught up in that, right? Like, what is the best? What's the best to rank up with right now? And I myself, like, I will try to grab the best meta deck, and I can get discouraged and whatnot. And sometimes it's just about having fun, right?
Yeah, I agree. Well, casual is still a fun place, and I think that at least for us, we've got the listener series, and so it's fun to kind of make some wacky decks that you wouldn't be able to win with on ladder, but you can still play, and we do a lot of co-op games and still have fun. So there's the silver lining for you. All right, well let's jump into our weekly challenge here. So real quickly, let me chat about last week's weekly challenge. So the weekly challenge from last week was to get fatigue. And it could be yourself, could be your opponent, but it was for the highest fatigue amount that you could. And we were looking at a couple things. Part of it was how much fatigue damage could you get in one turn, but it was also kind of the combined damage total that you could get by drawing through a bazillion cards in a turn. And this one was pretty fun because we had a handful of people who participated, and we saw it. I loved it. Kenray participates quite frequently, and he jumped in on day one. Oh, here's 10. And then these numbers started progressing like higher and higher and higher. And by the end of it, our winner here this week is Mikkel, who ended up with fatigue damage. The highest in one turn was 59 damage, with a combined total in one turn of 1,575 damage.
Of overkilled fatigue damage.
That is nuts.
Bonkers.
Like, I've never seen anything even close to that. And we had a couple of runner-ups, especially big shout out to Hastur, who got 60 damage, minus like 60 damage in one turn. Although he was immune at the time because he had Mal'Ganis in place, and so that this doesn't quite count. And so there was 0 damage being taken. It was like, it showed 60, but like it wasn't actually doing the damage. And so, yeah, big shout out to Mikkel, but also we had, and thank you to everyone else who participated. So great work, Hastur, Kenray, and also Puzar for participating in this last week's challenge. It was a lot of fun. And so getting into this week's challenge, we kind of been chatting about it throughout the show, what we wanted to do this week. And I think what we landed on will be kind of fun for us because it's one where we get to be more judgy, which is fun, right? And so here's the thought. We were talking about favorite Death Knights earlier, and Deathstalker Rexar came up, and so the challenge that we came up with was to build the best zombies. Okay, and is that like vague enough or what? But that means that we get to judge, like, so you submit to us the zombies, like assemble the zombies that you think is the best based on what you can build with Deathstalker Rexar. Submit them to us, and then we will judge them. So yeah, sheep.
And I will say, extra points if you name your zombies as well.
Yes.
So naming it is part of the best zombies. So if it's just like Philip. Okay. But if Philip has, like a particular narrative or something like that behind them, then all right. But yes, naming is part of the best zombies in this particular situation.
And I'm going to go on record to say that unlike other weeks where we have like a rule where like who has the biggest stats, no. That's not what it is. It's totally based on cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, this has nothing to do with who's got the biggest attack or health. This is based on the coolest, and like Sheep said, coolest name kind of helps.
I love it. It's fun for us to get one once in a while that is just 100% subjective, and we just get to decide on whatever it is that we want. And there's so many possibilities. Yeah. So
I personally would not be averse to reading any sort of a narrative, kind of like a fan fiction about your zombies.
Tell a story.
I will not subject these other two gents to that. But if you send that in, I will read it and put it as part of my review as well. So have a blast, spin a yarn, tell a good narrative, tell a good story, and that'll get extra points.
Hey, there we go. And Cybreon, if you're willing, I'd love to pull you into the judging on this one. So
Sure.
that'd be kind of fun. We'll see what people can come up with.
Sounds
Oh yes, and Sheep, if you would please tell everyone how to submit their entries.
Absolutely. So to submit your entries, first off, you can play games in either ladder or casual. Just not against a friend because they will help you, and not against the innkeeper because Hearthstone Brew, he means well, but
He'll help you too.
I'll help you too. He's your friend.
So, exactly. Also not against any of the other PvE content, so just on ladder or casual. Take a screenshot, post it in our Discord in the weekly challenge section. And especially if you have any sort of name or narrative, story, stats, anything like that, give us the rundown of your zombies. Put that in the weekly challenge section, and we will evaluate it and share the winner on next week's show. The winner, of course, gets 2 packs on us and the even more valuable bragging rights for that week, just like Mickle this week.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Super fun. I'm excited to see what everyone comes up with. So this will be a great one, and I may have to participate a little bit and dust off my fanfic writing skills. So
I can't wait to read your story, Nate.
this is devolved a little bit from what I thought it would be. It's great.
In the best way possible.
Or evolved.
Right. Oh man.
Or revolved?
Hey. Good times. Will golden zombies have the same weight as normal zombies? Unfortunately, I think we have to say yes, because I don't think we can penalize people for not having golden cards. I am a whale, but they definitely look shinier. But
if your story mentions them being gold, if you have a gold one, then that could be part of your story, which is cool. But it does not inherently give you extra points. Absolutely not.
oh, that'd be so funny though.
Or you could be
Good
non-golden. You could be non-golden and write how you're aspiring to become golden.
Yeah, see? There's so much potential there.
You're on a journey to collect enough dust,
Oh my gosh, that's great.
So's your face.
Oh, all right. Well, that's sort of brings us towards the end of our show here, and so wrapping things up a little bit, I do want to give some thank yous real quick. And so first and foremost, thank you to Shokunin, who is the executive producer of our show. We very much appreciate your continued support and everything that you do for us. And also a big thank you to the patrons of our show. Disruptor 108, Claudette G, Daniel B, Wildcard, Aramorn, Ben from Work, Turtle Boy, and Number Theory. Thank you all very much for your continued support. Means a lot to us and helps keep the website running and things like that. If anybody who is watching or listening to this is interested in supporting the show financially, you can visit our website at borntobewildhs.com. If you click the Find Us page, there is a link to our Patreon, and there's some plans as low as $1 a month. The money does go directly back to the show, but that being said, we do not want anybody to feel obligated to do that. So it's a nice little bonus, but it is what it is. If you are somebody who's on Twitch a lot and you're interested, we do have several really cute emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to us on Twitch and see our cute little Nas emotes. They were done by incredible artist Christina Oe. So, yeah. And finally, Cyberon, thank you very, very, very much for donating your time to us. Thank you for waking up early on a Saturday morning. Thank you for hanging out with us. It was really great to spend some time with you and get to learn about you and to ask you all these questions and just hang out. So yeah, we really enjoyed having you on. And where can people find you if they want to watch you stream or interact with you?
If you want to find me, you can find me on twitch.tv/thecyberon, or you can also find me on Twitter. My username is the same everywhere I go. So for now, I only got these two platforms, or as usual, I'm on Discord, also called the Cyberon. Yep.
All right. Yeah, thank you for coming on. It's been a blast. And Electric Sheep City, hey, if people want to follow you or interact with you throughout the week, where can people find you?
Yes, I can be found around the internet at Electric Sheep City at places where that fits, like Twitch, and at Sheep City at places where that doesn't fit, like Twitter. And so that's where I can be found around the internet. It's been a blast hanging out with you, the Cyberon, getting to know you better, more than just in the Discord, which has always been a blast hanging out with you there as well. So thank you very much for spending your morning or evening with us. It's been a blast. So thank you very much. Hydra, where around the internet can you be found?
You all can find me at hydralisk_HS on Twitter and Twitch, and you can find me in the Discord, which the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks, week and a half, I haven't been on there as much. I've been on vacation, but I'm really stoked to hop back in. We got a great community there, and I highly recommend that anybody who's looking for a community, some friends to chat about the game or whatever, hop into the Discord. It's a great place to be. How about you, Nate? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you were on vacation last week. I had to do your Discord spiel.
Oh, did you?
Can confirm. He knocked it out of the park, but it wasn't quite the same.
Wasn't quite the same. You can find me on Twitter at NateWolfTCG. It's NateWolfeTCG. More importantly, you can find the show on our website. It's borntobewildhs.com. Again, borntobewildhs.com. And I would second what Hydra said about the Discord. Really, we spend a lot of time there interacting with people, sharing deck lists and videos and memes and just, kind of pet photos and everything else in between. One of my favorite things to do is co-op with people. And so if anybody is interested in playing games together, whether it's Hearthstone or something else, or chatting or whatever, that's always fun. And we've got channels for that in the Discord as well. So, yeah, really excited. A really fun show tonight. I hope everyone can tune in again. Next Friday, our special guest will be our friend Jordan MG. So that'll be a lot of fun. You will get to learn what MG stands for. And I know the answer to this, and y'all have to wait a week.
Spoilers.
But that'll be a lot of fun. And one final note, we have been ending the show with some special shout outs. And so for me, I want to say a big giant thank you to my good friend Blue Train for taking the time to co-op that Mysteries of Elune card back with me. It was a giant help, and I failed without your help. I'm looking forward to doing more co-op games with you over the weekend, hopefully. And a gigantic shout out to SchmoopieMommy, who hit legend for the first time this past week. And it was it was the 7th day of the month. Okay, month 2 of her playing Hearthstone. Never played the game before. Day 7, month 2, hit legend with Pirate Warriors. Absolutely amazing. And so I reached out to Schmoopie Daddy and I said, oh my God, that's so great. Tell her congratulations from us. And also, can you do an interview with her and then send it to me? And I gave him homework. Hey, how often is it that you get to give teachers homework, right?
Right.
So, being the gentleman and scholar that he is, he actually did the assignment, and we will play it at the conclusion of the show. And so, but it's so exciting. I'll never forget when I hit legend for the first time, and I told Craig way back in the day, and he's like, "What are you doing right now?" I was like, "What do you mean? What am I doing right now?" He's like, "Can I call you?" I was like, "Sure." He's like, "I need to record this while it's still fresh." It's like, okay. And so that was the goal. It's like, hey, how did you do it? Are you excited? What was going through your mind? What happened? It was the final boss. And so it's a really adorable, absolutely adorable interview. It's about 6 or 7 minutes long, and we'll play it at the conclusion of the show. So hey, from all of us over here, SchmoopieMommy, congratulations on your first time legend, and you're probably a better player than all of us. So
Congratulations. Yeah, it took me over a year to get there, and you knocked it out super quick.
Seriously, it's amazing.
I honestly, listening to it, I had this little bit of jealousy. I was like,
right?
Wow, you are so much better than I am.
I know.
I don't know that I would say jealousy for me in particular, just shock and awe. I am impressed.
It's so great.
She is incredible.
Yeah. I think she's the new mascot of the show.
I know, right?
Anyways, I digress. Hydra, is there anyone that you want to shout out before we conclude?
Yeah, I actually wanted to give, and Nate, you're part of this. I wanted to give Saucy Mailman a shout out because
nice.
He's somebody that I've followed and watched for the longest time. He was on Into the Wild and just a great human being. He's absolutely awesome. And the other day I was trying to find the tweet. He wrote this. It was just a 1-sentence thing saying, "Why would you want to be out there slaying big dragons and monsters if you don't look fabulous?"
I saw that. I love that. It was
true.
so great.
And then your comment was, "Wiser words had never been spoken."
Yes. That happened. Yes. It
just made me laugh, and I think that Saucy's doing great with his streaming career, and he's always a good watch, and just somebody that I've supported for a long time, just because he puts out good content, and yeah, he's a good guy. So my shout out is to Saucy.
I love it. Sheep, anybody that you would like to shout out?
Yeah. So I don't want to put you on the spot, Nate, but I want to shout you out this week. I was having a really hard week, and a lot of stuff that we talked about yesterday, and it was really great spending time with you, hanging out, kind of debriefing, and then kind of you go over the hard stuff, and then you build up afterwards, and it took what was a hard week into like I said, we numerous times today, even at work, I was like, oh yeah, it's been a hard month this week, stuff like that, and it just kind of really helped turn my mental frame around from being kind of, while things are a little tough, from negative to kind of focusing on that positive again, and I really appreciated hanging out with you and all that good stuff yesterday. So
I'm glad.
My shout out goes to you, buddy.
Thank you.
Aww.
I promised myself I wouldn't cry on this show. But that's so nice. I had a good time too, and you absolutely wrecked me in our games too. And so I'm sure
I
that
wasn't going to bring that part up, but
it was a lot of fun. The Cyberon, is there any parting words or any shout outs that you would like to give before we wrap up the show?
Most of my shoutouts are to the people that I play against to practice for victory, like SchmoopieDaddy, like Juice. I mean, although it was a pity that it didn't happen in the end, but I'm glad that when I asked for the practice games, they are quite active to respond to me. And also shout out to Ken Ray and Maxi Bond for being supportive towards me when I was playing my games and all that. And shout out to you guys too for hosting me and for asking me to get on the show as a guest. And also, I will shout out to my friends in real life and my girlfriend too, because none of them knew that I was going to be part of this until I told them, and they were all quite supportive of me. And some of them are in the stream right now. They are watching
Aw.
the show.
Oh, that's
and it's quite
great.
nice that they are supportive of my so-called pursuits, like to be part of the show, to be part of the community and all that. So I'm quite grateful for all that. I'm also quite happy that I have a good network that will support me and be supportive of what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm very glad to be on the show today. And thanks everyone for being here for me also and for interacting with me and for being supportive as always. Thanks everyone.
Absolutely. Hey, wiser words were never spoken, and you heard that on Born to Be Wild.
Hello, this is Schmoopie Daddy. I'm here interviewing first-time legend and first in my heart, SchmoopieMommy. SchmoopieMommy, how are you doing here tonight?
Doing well, thank you.
Nate asked me to do a quick interview with you, just ask you a few questions, just to sort of encapsulate what the experience is for you now that you are at the ultimate goal of your quest to dominate Wild Hearthstone. Let's start with this. How did it feel to hit legend?
I was happy. I was like almost relieved because I had tried so hard last month, which was my first month playing, to achieve that. And I just fell short. I came up on several boss battles and just couldn't quite get there. So this month being able to reach that by, day 7 in the month, it was just exciting. Like I was way more excited than I thought I would be. So it felt really, really good.
Yeah, I want to follow up on that. You had 6 boss battles last month. How many did you have this month?
1.
So how is that? Just being able to just do one and done and saying that's it.
It was great. And I had actually faced that person earlier in the day and I had lost to them. So I was hoping that I wouldn't lose to them again. And I was trying not to, feel anxious or anything like that. Which I think was a little easier this month than last. But it was still just knowing that I was going to win this game. I was very excited about it. So it was a much easier climb this month, this time around.
You were telling me you were wigging out on the weapon swing for lethal a little bit, right?
A little bit, yeah. So it started freezing up. We were in the car and I was trying to hit their face and it was slowing down and I was worried, I was going to disconnect or something. And it turned out they were conceding. So
that's awesome. Yeah, you hit legend while we were getting ice cream. So did you learn anything from last season's climb that helped you with this month?
Yeah, I'm sure I learned so much my first month. That's almost a loaded question because I started knowing nothing other than you were playing the game. So this was very, very new. So this time around, I played a lot of games, which I guess helped. I tried to learn my deck as quickly as I could and
maybe a little bit lead in. Were some matchups just easier to play this month around?
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I definitely had more success with priests and druids with this deck playing the pirate warrior deck than I did with the rogue deck. And I had, some decent matchups with warlocks and pirate warriors alike with this deck.
Yeah, you did okay in the mirror, right?
Yes.
Okay. And let's see. So just 2 more questions. Were there any decks that you faced this month that blew your mind? You hadn't seen them before, you hadn't expected them?
Yes, I have to try to remember. There were a few. So there was a rogue that I ended up getting matched up with a few times that completely obliterated me, and I had no idea what was happening. I don't remember the name of that rogue.
They were playing a bunch of coins, and then all of a sudden they were aiming stuff at your face. Yes. So Pillager Rogue. You hadn't seen Pillager Rogue before.
I came up across a druid that played pirates, which I had never seen. I guess that is an older version of what people used to play with druids. I'm used to questline druids at this stage.
Yeah, in Dark Moon Fair, it's funny. And Big and Druid was everywhere. That was the cheap deck everybody was using. So like that would have been one of the decks I would have built for you back in the day. So it's funny that like, and they rolled you, right? Like it was just
yes,
like, they had a crazy
I
state.
like turn like 3 or 4, and I was just done. There was also a mage who kept hitting me with fireballs over and over and over again. And I saw that a handful of times this month, and I had not encountered it at all last month. So there were quite a few things. And then I even
we can't pass back the Exodia mage, because I remember the text from you was super angry.
I was really mad about it.
You were salty. You're like, babe, this is broken.
It was broken because I like, and the thing about like the rogue and that mage was that like, I was totally sitting there like, oh my gosh, they're totally dead. Like, what are they playing? And then all of a sudden I was dead from full health and then some. Like it was very puzzling. I was really mad about that. I did text you about my level of salt on that one.
I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, so there were definitely some weird things. I did also like Shadow Priest was kind of I feel like I saw some weird things with that too, but I can't remember what it was.
People have really taken that in a different direction this month, trying different cards like Mukla and stuff like that in it. That might be your new deck for next month, if I can scrounge the dust together. All right, and my last question, just to wrap this up: any tips for new players trying to hit Legend, or maybe players that haven't hit Legend before that are on that grind?
I guess the more games you play, the more experience you're going to get, and ultimately, the odds should be in your favor. I know playing a deck this month on meta was probably, much easier of a climb than playing the off meta deck last month. As much as I enjoyed playing Scimitar Rogue, it was definitely not considered like, a competitive deck for this meta. And then I guess I'd really have to go back to advice I heard Schmoopie Daddy give before. Is like, you should be trying to have fun. If you're not enjoying it anymore, it's really not, it's not what you want to do. So try to pick a deck that you can have fun with, play lots of games, and stick with it. You'll get there. I didn't think I would. I definitely got frustrated a few times last month. So I'm very excited to say that I was able to achieve it this month. So if I can do it, anybody can.
Well, we were excited for you too. I was a little disappointed. I was driving in the car, and you're like, babe, look, look, and I'm watching the Diamond 3 turn into a Legend badge, and we even went so quick we missed your free Legendary. We think you got Seek Guidance. All right, we're gonna wrap up there, just so that the clip isn't too long. But that is it from us in the Schmoopie household. Congratulations once again, first time Legend, SchmoopieMommy.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Hold on to your mug. We're in for a wild night. Wild. Feel the power of the wild world.
That was wild.
Thank you.